Greetings and welcome once again to Roman of the Empire. I'm partially your host, Roman, for this evening. But tonight we are talking about episode 6 of Ahsoka. What the hell was the name of this one?
Far, Far Away.
Far, Far Away. Oh, thank you. I had actually dumped that from my my forward memory. So we'll go around the panel real fast. This one's going to be a little peculiar because that's just the way tonight has to work. The family of the Empire is in town, but you're getting a level up because if we were twins, he would be the good twin and I would be the evil twin, and that is my good friend Pops is with us tonight. So just going around the horn real fast. With me, as always, my partner on this channel, my wingman. He actually stopped me from carpet bombing Dagobah, and I have mixed feelings about it because I'm not a big Yoda fan. He is Shieldwall of Dragons.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Yeah, just trying not to Hindenburg this stream. So no smoking, everybody.
I have faith. And
yeah. But yeah, this Far, Far Away episode, that the title alone should kind of tell you a little bit about it. Yeah, exactly.
Just a little bit, little jingles.
Bit. Yeah, but yeah, and we got surprise on the panel tonight is Pops. Thanks for being here, man. And so yeah, we'll get this going. Hopefully Mando and Josh will join us here in a little bit, and we'll be ready to go. But anyway, yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Well, no, thank you. Thank you. He is the scourge of Gotham, the nemesis of the Dark Knight. He is Joker Voice. Welcome once again, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And after getting a name drop in Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5, when the internet lost its mind, we were finally treated to Grand Admiral Yawn.
Yeah, and it's sad because it's Mads Mikkelsen's brother is the actor. Lars Mikkelsen from the great Mikkelsen clan. He kind of looks like Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's not an imposing figure. It's unfortunate, and obviously he was CGI'd blue with the red eyes. Fine, but it's. And actually, I know I'm going to be blipping in a second, but I actually didn't mind the episode overall. I didn't. Yes, there was a lot of key things. There's a lot of things that I think are interesting and fun, but it just kind of is what it is. I still had way too much of Sabine, who I can't stand, but it is what it is. I want to eat one of those hermit crab people, but it is what it is.
Me too. Boil them up.
What's up,
you mean the ones that are dressed up like tiny hobbits?
Yes.
They're the rock people from Frozen.
I hear they are delicious.
And they live in Jiminy Cricketville.
Yeah, which that was like super Disney. General George Washington once referred to his beard as covered with the blood of his enemies, or it was perhaps Taco Tuesday. He is Beard of Liberty. Welcome back with us once again, my friend.
Thank you, as always, for having me here. Like I said before, many times before, this is our little therapy group get together, and I'm kind of with you. Not necessarily everything about this did I hate. Did I love it? No, but there were points in there where I could at least say I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Right, which I say to my son of the Empire quite often. He is the yin to my yang in the interwebs. He uses his power for good instead of evil. He is Pops. Welcome for the surprise visit. I'm so happy you're here tonight, my friend.
Me too.
Well, it's just happy to be here on a Thursday night, rocking the Star Wars and Ahsoka talk with the Empire. Shieldwall, of course, will be behind the mic driving things, but it's going to be a super great time. Try to stay awake as we talk about Dad Bod Thrawn. That's right, rocking those stands from Filoni verse to Joker voice. We have it all tonight, so stay tuned.
Oh my God!
It's awesome to be here, guys. Let's do this. Let's have a good time.
Oh, God. Somebody clip that, please. Oh my God, that is gold.
That's the way to start this one off.
Little Casey Kasem coming at you live.
Wow. Oh, not top 40. This is not top 40.
Old enough to remember.
He is the meme master of the interweb. He is our good friend. He uses his power for good as well, which is now throwing the balance off on the stream, but that's okay. That's okay. He is Jacob Ironside. Welcome back, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. If you haven't tried to use your lightsaber as a periscope, you're
doing it wrong.
Doing it wrong.
Doing it wrong.
Dear Lord. All right. So we are still waiting for Josh and Mando, whose computer actually caught fire in the green room. But I expect Josh will be with us soon. Mando, we may need to see. So with that, I am going to turn the wheel of this ship over to my good friend Shieldwall, and I am going to become an avatar. Just try not to set it on fire while I'm gone, kids. All right. So I'll see you in maybe a bit. It depends on how the rest of the evening goes with the family. But anyway,
where did I put those matches?
I didn't agree to the terms of setting things on fire. I didn't know that was part of the conditions.
Yeah, go away for a little while. All right, guys, do your thing.
Right. Yep, have a good one, Roman. It's a Roman of the Empire stream. Fire is always, always a possibility. Yeah. So let's go ahead and while we're getting things rolling here, let's say hi to the chat. Who we got here? I like these simulcasts. We get a lot more people here in the kind of crossover chat and everything. And let's see who we got here.
Force of Light Entertainment.
Force of Light Entertainment. Hello, ladies.
We got Brandon Looney, Tunes fan.
What's up, Brady?
Thanks for being here. Pops, who is actually on the panel now. We got Americus 2001 from over on Mando stream. Bobby Wold. The only good part of the series, Ray Stevens bearing the weight of the whole series on his shoulders. Yeah. And
luckily, those are some broader shoulders.
They are. He looks great.
Yeah.
We got we got Zach's.
Nice one.
We got Horny Alf. Always good to see Horny Alf, as long as he, stays away from the
cats.
The drapes. Yep. Let's see who else we got here. We Beard of Liberty. We got Americus. Oh, Force of Light Entertainment.
Hello, ladies.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Ladies.
It's awesome. Great content. Check them out.
Definitely.
All right, so that's everybody I'm showing here right now. So
Josh is in the back.
Oh, is he? Where? Oh, see, when he's always on that second row. Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Hey, Josh.
Josh.
Hello. Like your favorite venereal disease. I just keep coming back.
Wow. All right, here we go.
Mr. Tetracycline is in the house.
Yep. I have so many terrible stories about venereal disease from my time in the military.
You come in with that after Joker says you're in back.
Yeah. Awesome. So so it's Josh McDonald, Popeye Culture. Thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you had a good day. Just try not to Hindenburg this stream, so no smoking, please. Anyway, go ahead.
Don't tempt me, Shieldwall.
Yeah, I was fake smoking.
Oh, right. Okay.
Smoking if you got him. No.
All right. So, we're still waiting on Mando. She'll hopefully be here as soon as her computer does its thing. So this episode that we got titled "Far, Far Away,"
and it needs to stay far, far away.
Yeah. It was not the, again, like we've all kind of talked about. Well, most of us have about this series is, at least in my Okay, for me, it's better than Kenobi, so it's got that going for it right off the top.
Mando's back.
Yep, Mando
is
here.
she? There
Yep.
she is, down on the bottom.
Every time
There we
Shield
go.
just starts to get on a roll, so somebody
No,
pops
that's
in.
fine. That's fine. She.
Mando.
I'm sorry, my freaking internet decided to reset itself.
At least you're not
Mando.
snap, crackle, pop anymore.
No.
Mando,
That's
now
good.
that you're here,
Oh no.
I want a quarter. I want a quarter in the jar every time you guys do scissoring hands. By the way,
Yeah.
why? It's a
because
thing.
I popularized that after Loki randomly said it. Now it's like a thing. Everyone's using it.
Oh,
It's
no,
like
no,
it's
no.
completely
We got
great.
this from Last of Us, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it predates Last of Us by almost a
Okay.
year. We were talking about
Scissoring
scissoring
hands.
hands. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can never get too much of it, I think.
No, it's the gift that just keeps on giving.
True.
Oh, hey, what's up, Cajun? How's it going? Glad.
Yeah, Corey, how you doing, bro?
Okay, so here we go. The starting off.
Yeah. So,
here we go.
so this episode is far away, and yeah, it's kind of. That's about how it goes.
It's boring. That's what it's.
Yes.
It's really fucking
It
boring.
has
Yeah.
some pacing problems.
A
Absolutely.
little bit.
Okay, so
That's
real
kind of
quick.
the theme so far with the show.
So Mando, you got the slides, the full set, the
I
new
think
ones
so.
that he put in there?
I double checked and it refreshed and it looks like it's ready.
Okay, all right.
Let's
So if it's okay with you, Pops,
Groovy.
I'll just let
You
Mando-
remove it. Take it away.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Woot. So that's the first slide, of course. We got to know that it's Star Wars.
To let us know that
there
we're
we go.
watching Star Wars.
Yes, they
Now,
have to let you know. This is the first scene.
Yeah.
We are
This is what-
we are flying
what-
in the space with
Hey, where have I seen that before? Oh, J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. That's where I've
Right.
seen that before.
Oh.
Hey, Bobby.
remember-
Well, no
remember
giving
that.
away the plot now.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, so we got the flying calamari whale.
Yep. They look so weird. in my
It looks
opinion.
like it looks like something out of a Lovecraftian nightmare.
Yeah, it does.
Mhm.
Yeah, they looked better animated when they didn't have to have realistic details. They still
Right.
look
Right.
weird, but they looked better.
I hate everything about the sea whales. I can't stand it. I can't stand the space whales.
Hunt
I
the
just-
sea whales, please. Somebody.
I just can't stand it. There was a parody song back when I guess it had to be in the 80s, but it was Star Trekking. Star Trekking across the universe. This little Captain Kirk Star Trek parody song. So I saw those visuals. That's what came to my mind.
Because this is just an example of something that looks okay in animation but doesn't translate to live action.
Yeah, I feel like that most of this episode is that it's like, oh, this should have been a cartoon. Oh no.
This entire series should have been a cartoon.
Yeah.
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 This scene made me want to hit my head into the desk. It was so
Same.
stupid.
Oh, I was.
I'm gonna see
this
that
was
clip. Where's that clip?
annoying.
Oh yeah, this is this the history of the galaxy parts 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
They're in the
Ah.
space wells. They're traveling to whatever light speed, whatever the hell they're doing. I also want to point out that we last left off with Ahsoka being like positive and smiley,
Yes.
and now she's like ho hum.
Right back to this.
By the way, does bringing up the term "a galaxy far, far away" in the show kind of break the third wall?
It was so cringe. I was
Yeah.
just I like recoiled physically when I
This
heard
is,
that.
this,
Yeah.
this is okay. That's the moment there. It's not just key jangling here. This is the part where I wanted Pops's landmine to hit me in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cue the Sisu clip. This
Clip, yeah.
This was just unbearably bad. This was very She-Hulk for me. Like it's that we're
Oh,
aware
yeah.
of what we're
Yeah.
doing to fans and stuff, and we don't care. And I hate it. so much.
Especially coming off of the last episode that that I think with the I know there was a lot wrong with it, with the Anakin kind of in the in-between or whatever worlds or whatever, where he was there and they had that moment where she goes through the Clone Wars and she has a learning moment, right? That at least served the plot. This was completely pandering that part, and I just was like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like in the title of Ahsoka, they had the kind of like world between worlds looking feel, so they had to at least
that was the original design, and folks started getting hope that they're going to use the world between worlds to reset the timeline and completely to completely go around the ST.
Mm-hmm.
That was the original thought, but no, they're driving straight into that brick wall at the end, where a descendant of Palpatine takes the Skywalker name.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole in the weird clone chorus that looks like something out of 40K. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, I will say, in retrospect, this was actually ended up being a positive, because in the show Ahsoka, the best part of this episode was Ahsoka was not in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that about Disney Star Wars series, that they name a series after a character and then they don't really do much with that character? Like
I don't know.
Or Mando season part 1.
Because Ahsoka was the only character they haven't destroyed yet. So they need to have a lead that's going to get people's butts in seats to try to watch it.
This scene in particular, I banged my head against the table. I was...
Amanda, this is not just a Lucasfilm problem. This is a Disney problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly
where your title characters are playing sidekick in their own show.
And it's, if we're being honest, it's not even just a Disney problem. It's a television film problem right now. It's a comic book problem right now. We're seeing this in multiple forms of media, and I do not understand it.
It makes no sense.
I can tell you why they're doing how it wound up like this, and now it's become a thing. Well, go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
I was gonna. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a backdoor pilot. I did want to ask Mando why this scene wanted to make you bang your head against the floor, because from an outsider perspective, this and the scene that follows, where it may not have been this scene, but for sure the scene that follows where she meets Thrawn. Sorry to jump ahead. I feel like this was the best that Sabine has been written for the show.
So my thing here is when she and Balin, I don't remember the next slide. I think this is probably the slide that has, where she and Balin kind of have a quick exchange. She seems surprised that Balin might backstab her.
Yeah.
Why would she not think that Balin, a bad dude, would go back on their deal?
I will admit, though, that the way that Balin was carrying himself throughout the whole show up to now, in every interaction, of course, this is us as the audience seeing his interactions with other people. I don't know if that would really translate to Sabine, but for the writers of the show, it might. I would tend to have thought that he was not going to ever go back on his word, that he was at least a man of his word. He might not have he might be ruthless and all this other stuff, but he's a man of his word, and that he could be trusted to uphold his end of the bargain.
See, y'all have a lot more faith in him than I ever did.
Well, what I'm saying is
he's a really cool villain, absolutely, but
she might have taken that like she might have been her mindset. You know what I mean? Which is why she was surprised, because he's still, I don't know. It's like he had a code of honor.
He's got another plan.
Yeah, I was going to say he could still have his code of honor.
His ends, yeah. But it's to meet his ends.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
But I think that also complicates things, because it creates just more interesting subplot that has nothing to do with our title character.
Right. Exactly. And to Zach's comment, I think that's going to be the end result of all this stuff, is none of it will be remembered.
Yeah.
Well, I think the main thing they're trying to do with Ahsoka, I think in particular Disney's style is they're so focused on the big picture of what we want the end result to be that they don't really pay attention to these smaller shows that are supposed to be laying the foundation for the bigger plots. Because in all honesty, like in the sequel trilogy, we don't see Ahsoka, we don't see Sabine, we don't see any of the rebel forces, we see none of these characters. So what happens to them?
Yeah.
They're here.
Yeah, I've just got to ask a nitpicky question that doesn't matter, but it bugs me. Hyperspace is not instantaneous travel.
It's not.
No, it's not.
Granted, with its Legends material now, but even then, it would sometimes take a week or two to go from planet to planet, depending on where it was in the galaxy.
Right.
How long is Sabine sitting in that cell, wearing the same
no
clothes
idea.
and shackles?
Right.
The way it plays, it's like it's 2 days at most, and that's being generous.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the whales. I was like, it might work different with the whales. They might like somehow instantaneously appear on the other. You know what I mean? Like a half hour.
See,
or something.
that at least has an opening where there could be a reason created, but they're using Super Star Destroyer hyperdrive, which is a
Right.
I'm getting really
Right.
into the nerd here. It's a Class 1 hyperdrive, which is fast, but it's still not as fast as the Millennium Falcon or even Dash Rendar's ship, the Outrider.
Well,
So
Mhm.
it doesn't, just because they put more of them on it doesn't mean it goes faster.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
So
they
it's
would have had
bugging me.
they would have had to explain it with like some of the Space Witch magic or something
Yeah.
added to the engines, made it faster or whatever. But
Like I said,
you
it doesn't really matter to the
right.
story, but it's just another little like middle finger to things that have been created before, and they just don't bother to even think about it.
because
Right.
because the writer's room, it's always what's expedient to this current right now
Yeah.
episode, not
Yep.
what's gone on in the past. At least that's my opinion. And also, I do want to go back to something about why writers are making shows like Ahsoka and then not having the main character in it. This is my personal opinion, is that they've been conditioned to do this by having to write out all of the primary male characters and diminish them from all these other shows. And now it's just a habit, so they're doing it to even female characters on top of it, or popular ones, where there's I get you might want to have one episode where they're not there, but where they feel like they're in the background the entire show, almost. It just, I don't know.
Balin's skull makes more of an impact in a show than Ahsoka does.
Well, that's I
sorry
think that's
when Balin Skull and for one episode Hayden Christensen have done all the heavy lifting for this series.
And the bad thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, I'm good.
Okay. And the bad thing is that Rosario Dawson, she's good in certain things. I've seen her in stuff where I know she can act more than this.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, it almost comes across that she's being directed to act this way, and that's disappointing. I think it almost should have been a situation of just let her bring what she wants to bring to the table, and then kind of mold it. But it's almost like she's been told to be stoic, and you know, and I'm not a fan. So I do have an answer for the space wolves though, traveling through time or how fast they can travel, and this is factual. The greater the fart, the faster the dart.
Yes,
So
exactly.
put that in your book.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense. I cannot refute that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
science.
scientific right there. Yeah.
It's established science.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
So now
It's a witch.
right. So and then now we get a
Can somebody
little
drop a house on her
explanation.
already, please?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
But so this is the planet they've arrived at is the ancient homeworld of the Dathomirian people. Now, is that just the Night Sisters, or is that the Zababrax? And then we're also told that this is the end migration point of the Purrgil's life. This is where they all come to die, much like a salmon. They go back to the place where they were born. They lay their eggs and then they die. But then Morgan says, this is where we learn to harness these animals and take them to travel. Which is it?
Dead ones?
You can't have all of these things be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Did she said like her people like learn to ride them or something before.
Right.
Which is crazy.
How? Did they put a saddle on him and ride him across the galaxy?
And they did.
In
Yeah, they had to put a thumper in the sand and get it to come out. Oh wait, that's Dune. And the planet was kind of cool. I thought, like,
the origin of what it is murky at best, but I don't hate the boneyard rings.
Oh yeah, I thought
it's
that
cool
was
imagery.
Really cool.
And you know, I heard somebody say it kind of likens back to like elephant graveyards, where they all kind of go back to their homelands to die.
Right.
So that kind of makes sense.
Right.
I just think that they threw around too many ideas in the writers' room and forgot to cut enough of them.
Wait, so basically what you're saying is what Josh says, the worst thing in a writer's room. Hey, wouldn't this be cool?
Yep.
The
all of
problem
these
with
things
that,
be so cool.
you can do that if you know what you're doing. It's just, it's just, and you know the lore, and you're not going to break canon, and you're not just going to make something up that you're going to have to deal with in the next episode. That's now going to be a huge problem for you because you didn't think that far ahead. Which
or
is
you just don't worry about it, and it just falls away into nothingness.
Mando hit that right on the head.
Yeah.
You just don't give a crap, and you do it anyway.
Don't ask questions.
But
yes,
and look, I would say this is one of those instances where the ideas themselves aren't bad ideas. They just didn't fully vet them or work them. And that's something that we're also seeing just across all forms of media. Stories as a whole are not getting worked. And when I say work, that means really kind of going through your stories and even your characters and making sure you can answer the questions of who, what, why, where, when, and how. You know, and we're not getting that in so many shows, so many movies, so many comics, and it's frustrating because you're left with an empty product. But yeah, I mean, asking the question, wouldn't it be cool? Yeah, you'll get some good ideas, but you got to edit yourself and then stop writing around your plot. That's another thing that we're seeing here with this, because we're talking about how Ahsoka's not the lead of her own show, and we're getting all these scenes that aren't bad scenes, but it should be like the filler scenes that we're getting in between the good stuff, and we're just not getting the good stuff. Or the important stuff.
Yeah, or like so some of these scenes, like I will definitely admit, like Ahsoka as a show looks pretty. It looks cool. Like some of the shots, like this one right here, look amazing in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean much when it's just it looks pretty, but there's no real.
I wanted to say in regard to the graveyard, I'm very, very thankful that we had a Lion King reference. So
if only they could have held up Sabine off that cliff and just chucked her.
It's where all the Disney
shoot her out of the airlock right here.
The Star Whale graveyard. It's where all Disney shows go to die.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. There's the skeleton of Loki's in there somewhere. And I agree with Mando. The show looks good. Like the CGI is for the most part is good. The spaceships look cool. The sound is right. You know what I mean? Like the engines sound good.
There's some music that's actually not bad in this show.
Yes,
either, by
the
the
music
way.
is
The
good.
wipes are back. They have good Star Wars wipes from time to time.
Yeah.
Which sounds inappropriate, but wasn't meant to be.
Well, that comes after you take a hefty Star Wars. So
now we're back on farting darts.
Yeah. And man, just the destruction of this character Sabine is probably the biggest
the ship.
my biggest problem with the ship.
I hated this ship.
Oh my god,
I hate the ship.
Oh
And
my
I thought,
god, the ship was so cringy weird.
I've seen a shape like that before, and I couldn't think what it was. And then it hit me. Dune 1984.
Yeah.
The Thopters.
Yep.
That's exact. I mean, I pulled up pictures, and it looks almost exactly like that.
And it's the same color too, because it had the little golden thing and a little feet come out. Yeah. I kind of liked it more in Dune. But this reminded me of that weird little Count Dooku sail ship thing that had the little robot at the controls, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that. And also how it attached to the ship was kind of weird. Like, how do you get in it without falling down unless it's got directional gravity?
Yeah, like their orientation is this way, but to get into the ship, you had to like walk up and down and
and then it like fell off and then
it was weird.
Wings popped out and
dang it, Roman! Why didn't you get the scene where it was coming off of the ring, man?
But at least it sounds good. The engine of it sounds good.
And in the end,
flying
I'm cool
brick.
with it because it looks different enough to where you're starting to think, okay, this Dathomir planet is going to be cool. And you get there and there's like these weird statues and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, is it supposed to be barren like this? Or did some big, like the witches start using all kinds of force magic and it like killed all the vegetation or what, you know?
That's
And,
kind of what it
this
looks
was-
like from this angle.
I just hated the graveyard planet look. It's just like another bland, generic
Yeah.
gray or brown
Mhm.
planet in Disney Star Wars. I mean, I understand the story,
Because-
what we're trying to go for, but it's just like
because it's
filling
easy.
out. Ugh, it is. It's just, and then the ship just. Oh, it looks terrible. Terrible.
The whole time I was
Hate
watching
the
like
ship.
the planet, I was like, okay, it looks like they filmed this on location somewhere. So good on that. And I just kept waiting for like Conan to come running over the hill. It'd made a much better show.
Oh, and I got to point out in the ship when they're flying down, everybody's just kind of like staring back and forth at each other, and as if they already weren't doing it when Sabine got taken in custody. The shippers are out for Sabine and Shin so hard, and it is driving me up the wall.
Wait. Oh, you're talking about Shin Hati and Sabine?
Yeah, because they like
No,
lock
it's
eyes
supposed
in
to
the
be
ship.
Sabine and Ezra. God.
No, they're just
I mean, I
they're
wouldn't
just
be
like brother
surprised
and
if-
sister.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Shin kills Balin and switches over to kind of good, and then they kind of start hooking up at this point because
Oh.
it seems like the fan fiction has become
Scissor in the
reality.
hands, baby. Cue the music.
Where's my cannonball? I need to
I
go
hope I'm
swimming.
wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Surely.
I mean, I was fully expecting her to like freaking like jump onto Ezra and start making out with him, but no, we didn't get that.
you.
But that's
no,
here.
they're just close friends.
Mhm,
Really quick, though.
mhm.
Really quick. Morgan's shuttle. Does anyone get the 84 Dune vibe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
what.
he stepped it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
stepped away for a minute.
Oh, yeah,
missed
you
the-
Oh,
did.
yeah,
the
yeah.
line
What were we talking
sentence.
about?
Yep, yeah, we've already. Yep, that's exactly what we were talking about before. Exactly. It looks like they just copied it.
Back to the show,
Good
people.
catch though. For two,
And now
and see,
we
and
get-
that shows what the panel knows is that two people on this panel caught that this thing looked like a movie from almost 40 years ago.
Yep.
I mean, the ship.
And we
yeah,
we
for
get
sure.
the diverse Dathomir witches.
Oh my god.
The witches.
Oh my god. Okay, so there is so I, for my own mental torture, because I'm insane, I will go watch some. I'll watch some of the reaction channels, and
Oof.
people are losing their mind. Like, oh my god, Dathomirian witches, Night Sisters in live action. Oh my god, this just peaked Star Wars. And I'm like, the Night Sisters were a small subplot in the EU.
Yeah.
And they were routed out by Dooku and Grievous.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that my theory on that goes to the one where they do this on purpose, and the reaction proves it. It's for cosplay reasons.
Oh, by the way, the
If you go to
witches have
cons now, you'll
balls.
see all these witches.
Oh yeah, the witches
Yes.
balls are great.
Yeah.
It's
Where do
so
they
great.
keep those?
Tiny balls.
So I'm going to jump the gun a little bit on the theme for these witches because I picked up on it before I figured out their names, but they're named similar and themed after the Greek fates.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh.
This is
Gotcha.
true.
And I did not hate that. It was actually kind of an interesting thing to nod to, and they didn't make it really obvious. Like I didn't even know their names until the end, but the names are pretty spot on. But I don't hate it.
I did want to ask: is this pretty accurate in terms of their look from
No.
how they? No. Okay.
No.
Well,
This is okay. This is doing with makeup what they did in animation, because the mother
Yeah.
Alzen had very deep cheek cuts and to whatnot, and this was just a really bad version of it. And she's also very tall and very lanky.
it's almost as if
Yeah,
the Night
no.
Sisters are a completely different race of humanoids. They're not like quite human, and
You can tell by their
Yeah.
statues and their statuary in both the temple where they got the key
Mhm.
and on the planet. If you look at it,
Yeah.
they're obviously not pure humans or whatever.
Right.
And so,
Which
but
is
here,
why it's
this
weird
is
that
just
Morgan
obviously
Elsbeth is very human.
right. You know, inbreeding or something. Who knows?
It's a lot of witch hate, I hear. A lot of
yeah.
witch hate, I hear there, Shieldwall.
This,
Watch
so
yourself.
this part intrigued me. I was like, all right, it's like a cool temple thing. They got this going on.
More women playing with balls.
Yeah, what's good? Yeah, you know, can't go wrong there. What's going to happen? What are their powers? And then I was like,
this was so stupid.
yeah,
How she,
magic.
she has
already
Jedi
shackled.
powers.
I laughed
yeah,
and
that
paused
too.
and went for a
Oh my
snack.
God.
I had like, this is freaking great. It's so bad. This is
just
ridiculous.
This is just they're referencing Sabine, saying it reeks of Jedi.
Okay,
You
yes.
got Balin's skull.
How did they know?
Yeah, no, there is
By the
nobody.
way, how long have Jedi been around? I don't get it.
Millennia.
Yeah.
And-
Apparently, by the timelines, the Night Sisters here are supposed to have predated Jedi. So, yes, would they have known? But first, like you said, Joker, the only thing there that would reek of even a smidgen of Jedi is Balin. And they don't bat an eye at him until
and
Thrawn
yeah,
says something
right.
later.
And honestly, maybe even Shin Hati.
Right.
Maybe. I discount her because she wasn't really taught as a Jedi. Like you said.
Here's the thing, just to jump ahead a little bit, later on in the episode, they're like, wait a second, Balin's a Jedi?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, maybe that was what you were detecting, you know?
Had to have been because she. Ugh.
Yeah.
Also, can we point out how they're like,
It-
she's dangerous?
They don't say she, it. It's
Yeah.
dangerous.
Okay.
I was okay
Okay.
with them calling it an it because they,
Okay,
you know what I
because-
mean? Maybe they're just thinking of other people as so lesser, it's almost like a bug, you know?
Right, but
Yeah.
but clearly these three didn't watch the previous episodes because Sabine has gotten her ass kicked twice already. Ran through with a lightsaber. There are many words to describe Sabine. Dangerous is not one of them.
I'm just gonna tell myself that they were actually sensing Balin and they don't
Bob-
realize it
Bob-
because
Bobby, right there.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Right?
you know, Josh, that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe when that happened, I was like, maybe they just assume it's her
But
because he's like masking it or something.
he's got a masking rock that he hides under, so they can't.
He's
Maybe,
they were
I
probably
guess.
so stunned by his giant masculinity that they didn't know what to do.
Oh, this
Okay,
made me
hold on.
laugh.
This
I
scene,
laughed
I'm
my
about
ass
to
off.
throw my laptop out of the window.
You know what this
I
reminded me
was-
of?
So stupid.
Do you remember that old car commercial with the little kid in the Darth Vader suit? And
Yeah,
then the
right.
parents like hit the keys and he's like,
Volkswagen,
he's like,
yeah.
oh
Volkswagen.
crap. Yeah.
Great commercial.
This is what it
Great
reminded me
commercial.
of.
And again, I'm watching the reaction channels and all around like, oh my god, there she. Oh, she's gonna do it. She's gonna do it. And then all of a sudden you hear the rumbling, and I'm like,
I knew there was no way. I was like, if she is doing this, then I'm turning it off.
What are they
I'm
trying to
throw
do
this
with
out
their
there.
own character? I mean, really, what are they trying to do? They're
Just
they're
waiting for
making
her
a
to like,
comedy.
fail and then just like duck down off underneath the rope thing that they have around her because it's
Like-
so stupid.
When they wrote
big spoon of
Sabine,
stupid.
when they write Sabine, did they just go like on the websites and like download fan fiction? And
They had to.
Apparently,
They
yeah.
had to have. They had to have because some. Oh my god! I can't.
Or
even-
there's some kind of
take a
like,
breath.
there's
Take
some
a
kind of
breath.
like online
Breathe,
pamphlet
Mando.
somewhere
Breathe.
how to destroy a
Yeah.
character in 5 easy steps.
But
but
Ah!
but remember, this series is written by the guy who created all of these characters.
Yes, he
Yeah,
created
right.
Sabine. He created Ahsoka. He created Hera, and he's breaking his own freaking lore. What the
He
hell?
created during the Clone Wars. He created he created the visual representation of the Night Sisters too.
Yes.
Yes, Copa, that's what
Yes.
he's doing right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hamsters.
Someone asked what are they doing with Sabine. It's very clear that we're going to get to the very last episode, and she's going to end up being the actual hero of the show by using her force powers, most likely to get access to a lightsaber and cut the bad guy in half. Just put it in the books now because you know what's coming.
Hey, it's a lot like what's his name, Boyega in the first Force Awakens. He's like trying to use the Force to grab the lightsaber or something. Who was? Oh no, never mind.
Yeah, but the thing, and then they screwed him because they changed his entire plot line. Let's not get into that. Yeah, but with Sabine, the only way that they could explain how she is the way she is now is if they did like a flashback to where something really horrible happened to her that changed her into what she is now or prevented her growth. She's still mentally 16 or whatever.
Yeah, she's actually more regressed than she was at the end of Rebels. That's what I've said many times, is this backstory of the bad beef between Ahsoka and Sabine needed to be expanded on because it changed the characters so much that if you know what they were,
dramatically different. Like it's not even like they might say that the character.
Hey, what's up, man?
They might have the same clothes, say the words the same, but that is not the people that they left us with. Like we have no context for understanding why Sabine is acting this way or why Ahsoka is acting this way. We're given no context.
That's what Ahsoka's flashback should have been about, not about the Clone Wars. Because of the trauma she had in the Clone Wars, they have episodes where she confronts that and comes to terms with that. Yeah. So anyway, we're going back to the past parts of awful. Let's continue forward.
I just wanted to point out that was the part where she was trying to high five the rocks on the wall. So for those of you at home don't know where we're at in the episode, that's what was happening.
And now this actually looked good. Now,
I like this was my favorite part of the whole.
I have said this, that the production value has been the least of my issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
this looks hella
shot,
cool.
And that silhouette, I love that. That shit.
Immaculate. It's amazing.
I like a lot of the details on it. It's obviously been rebuilt using Dathomirian magic. That's why you got the gold medals similar to what you have in the Eye of Sion. Like the top shield has been replaced, and at the end of Rebels, that's the one that's destroyed. On the sides, it's been repaired where the space whale is attached to it. It looks great. It looks like it's been through hell and back. The engines on the back are destroyed, which explains why it can't go through hyperspace. Everything about this ship is better told in just this scene than any of the characters have been so far.
And
the visual effects artists know how to tell a story better than the writers.
Right.
Yes.
And I will say this, my one problem, and even though it was in Rebels, Thrawn would never make his ship so distinct. So that paint job on the butt.
Right. I thought it was just me. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm just seeing things. They didn't do the same thing they did in Mandalorian season 3 with painting the bottom of a Star Destroyer. I'm seeing things.
But wasn't that in Rebels?
From Rebels?
That was that was in Rebels.
Right.
Which leads me to my unpopular opinion that I actually didn't like Thrawn's depiction in Rebels very much.
No, me neither. I didn't care for it.
Because Thrawn was being written for a show that was TVY7.
Right. Yeah, you couldn't go full. You couldn't.
Rebels was written for kindergartners.
Yeah, you can't go full. You can't go full Thrawn.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even expect that, but he always seemed to be more commanding, and I did have a problem with the voice because he seemed more of a slimy, sly, manipulative person instead of the person who was actually in charge, and he knew he was in charge. But that's just my kind of image that I have from the books.
There you go, Shieldwall. Sorry about that. Apparently, my computer was like, "I don't want to show the next slide."
Yeah, you can't skip out now. We're about to see the massive penetration of the starship.
He doesn't. He doesn't show the penetration. This is the next slide, so the penetration's already happened.
I do want to say, since we were talking
how it always is.
Since we were talking about shots, cinematographer, great job, but also you can tell that the direction in this episode is clearly different. So I just looked up the director. It's a lady named Jennifer Getzinger. She's happened to work on shows like Mad Men, Westworld, Daredevil, all higher class shows. So this shows what you can get, at least visually, what you can get when you hire top talent. If they would hire writers of the same caliber, this probably would have been a kick-ass show.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, it was written by Dave Filoni.
Why?
But like,
why
think about,
are
like,
they
this
chanting
shot.
Thrawn?
Oh my gosh!
Why?
Amazing.
Okay, because these are not stormtroopers. These are all zombies. These guys are all dead. They are all undead. This is they.
I will say this, just as a standalone, I don't, not as a stormtrooper, but as a standalone, I don't hate the patched together weird sort of welded with gold metal armor design, but I do not like it as a stormtrooper, not even an undead one.
Yeah.
So they really are.
One thing
undead,
about
like
the beat up armor, I wanted that. I wanted them to be at war with, little warlords,
right?
With beat up armor and all that. But we got this instead.
And so just to answer to Josh's question, if you notice the red bands that are around them all in some form, these guys have been necromanced with the Dathomir dark magic.
Nice. See, I find that interesting. I wouldn't have known that. I will say, I know y'all don't like the chanting of Thrawn. I didn't mind it, and I'll say I didn't mind it because they clearly set up that this whole idea. I feel like we're getting answers now of how did you know Thrawn was there. It doesn't make sense for our heroes, but it makes sense for our villains in the respect that this is almost like a prophecy from the witches.
Well, it does.
It's out of the character
atmosphere, but it's not Thrawn. He did not seek glory. He did not seek worship. He served his emperor. That's what he did. Everything he did was in service to his emperor. So yeah, I understand. Yeah, it does set the tone for the scene, and if you don't know much about the character, you would be able to make it fit, but it just doesn't fall in line with the Legends character, which I know we're not dealing with anymore, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, this is a totally different character. Also, it was okay, but it was out of cadence a little bit, and I just feel like they should have been doing like facing movements and clicking their feet together, and like so it made like a big sound. It would have been much better.
But they're all zombies.
Yeah, you could have zombies doing that. I'm not saying they yell anything. They just and that's just it. They don't speak at all. They just turn and put their feet down, and that makes like a big
right.
And
I wrote it off
as he walks through.
I wrote it off as they're basically the dumb versions of what they were, and half of what the Night Sisters have made them, and they've just made them completely loyal to Thrawn. So they're not even really thinking clearly like they were when they were alive anymore. Yeah, I'm giving the writers a lot of leeway there. I know.
And Enoch,
how is the audience supposed to know any of this lore?
Exactly. I had no clue.
Exactly.
No clue.
Exactly.
I just thought they were. I just thought they were like new stormtrooper dudes or whatever.
Well, because that's why my whole assumption. How long has it been since he disappeared till now? Do we know how many years?
10 years. 7 to 10 years.
10 years.
So I kind of took it as like there was this lore that this would happen based on some prophecies, but eventually there would be someone would come to kind of help fulfill whatever this prophecy was that's said by the witches, and that because that coming was happening, it was more of like okay, we're here, not necessarily like a praise Thrawn, but more of like here it is, it's what he's discussed or what he's mentioned. But again, that's how it's perceived as someone that doesn't know any of the backstory,
right? Like I had no idea that those guys were
zombies
or whatever.
No clue.
None at all. I thought there was dudes that now they're like wearing red because they're like trying to hold their armor together, and they're getting their own identity being in this new universe or whatever.
Yeah, it's just another mark against the writing for basically writing two stories. It's writing for the audience that hasn't seen anything, but you have the audience that has seen things, and they're not even excluding one or the other. They're kind of dipping in and out, and it just makes it confusing.
Well, and it's one of those situations where you can also reveal this without having to give exposition. Like you could show some of the witches finding quote unquote, dead soldiers and then bring them. I mean, if they get killed again, can you then reanimate them back to life again?
Yep.
So they should have shown that, because I'm also sitting here wondering, like, Thrawn has a line at some point throughout the show where it's like, we lost too many soldiers or whatever he says.
Oh,
but
yeah,
now I'm wondering, well, why didn't you just bring them back to life? Like,
maybe they got disintegrated. I don't know. The writers don't know. This guy Enoch, you know what he reminded me of? He made me think of the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because he's got that mask on. Looks like a Roman Catholic.
That makes
Roman
absolutely
Empire.
no sense for him to have that. Like,
To me, it's magic, and that's how he stays alive. Who knows?
yeah. I kind of took it because his entire base is gold, that he was basically rebuilt by the Dathomirians, and they did. I don't know.
I
Again,
thought
I'm giving him lots of credit. I
he's
like the
supposed to
actor
be-
who's in the suit. He was in The Expanse, and he's
Mhm.
fantastic. I hope he actually
But-
gets to do something and he
but-
doesn't get the Phasma treatment.
But
who
but,
was
but-
he in
but-
The Expanse?
I'll look him up. I forget the name.
But can
Is he-
can we now stop? But now can we officially stop saying that they're Dathomirians because they're Purrgians?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
this is their
exactly.
homeworld.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that brings everything into question. And for the record, also those out there, again, with going back to the show, I didn't like how the Dathomirians did this whole zombie trick in the first place anyway. So
Mystery box.
I don't
Mystery
like,
box.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who gets the credit in our circle for the whole self-referential Star Wars versus actually being about something thing? I forget if that was Gary, if it was someone else who I heard it from first, but it was like,
Oh, it's scary. It's scary.
yeah. So all of this stuff that we're discussing, all these elements, it's all Star Wars referring to other Star Wars, and it's like levels of how much you know all of this. Because I watched this episode not knowing, but maybe a third of what we're discussing. And I was just bored out of my loving mind. Like then, because you have all these, that these people are in masks and they're chanting and they're doing different things, and I have no idea why or what's actually. I have no connection at all. Like just okay.
There really nothing happens anyway, because this is all filler. It's another episode where about a third of what we see needed to happen.
And this is also the problem in the problem inherent with this show is you have to do homework. I was talking the other day with someone. I have watched. If you have not watched Clone Wars or Rebels, you are lost in this show. The Dave is assuming that you have all this back knowledge of. Now I will go with Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, where the makers of the show assume you don't have all that back knowledge. So they actually give you time to explain and to understand the world that you're in. Dave is just jumping right in. And it's like, oh, well, you already know all this. This is a niche of a niche of a niche audience.
This is Dave Filoni getting to make his fan fiction reality.
Correct.
Yeah. I would say this actually worse.
Himself.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. So I think it's worse, Joker, than what you're even saying, because I know what's going on, and it's still not enough for me to care is the problem. It's not about being able to follow it. Like I get the concept of Thrawn's. I get the plot elements of what we're supposed to be picking up, but the mass amount of time wasted with all these like allegedly little Easter eggs and key jangling moments and this mask and this is this and this. I could care absolutely less. I'm just watching a bunch of emotionless people in costumes wander around. I don't feel like I'm in Star Wars at all. I'm literally just watching a dinner theater version of someone's fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
just real quick to bounce back to answer Jacob and anybody who else was wondering, Enoch was Amos.
Really?
From Big Expanse. That's Wes Chatham.
And they put a mask on him?
Yeah, like I said, I really like that character, so I hope they don't Phasma him, but I bet
they
will.
are.
Well, I'm going to take it back
Yep,
pretty
they
far
will.
with the Enoch thing. It'd be cool if his mask came off and he was a slee stag. I think Pops might know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
awesome reference. That's the show gets a star. If I'll clip that and use that.
Yeah.
Wow. You pull. Wow.
That's a
the
great.
fact that
That's
we
a great
pulled-
reference right there. Land of the Lost,
So
baby.
we have pulled a Land of the Lost and an 84 Dune reference out of this.
Actually,
This is amazing.
more than 184
wait.
Dune because it happened. We went around that one a couple times.
Just wait
Yeah.
till we all get to the Rings of Power reference later on.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
fuck off.
Yeah, we'll get
Anyway,
there.
continue.
And Stargate.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to bring up the Rings of Power? No, I'm
Mando,
gonna
take
go
a
cry into
deep
my
breath.
Tolkien books.
And then take a big shot of rum.
Why is all the
That-
rum gone? Because Mando
Because I'm
is
drinking
watching
it all.
Ahsoka. That's why.
All right.
Wow.
Got my rum ready
Yeah,
for
I-
this stupid Rings of Power
I
reference again.
really don't like this snarky back and forth. Well, it's snarky one way and emotionless the other way, because this makes Thrawn seem completely unintimidating. That she's just
He
talking
is.
back to him. Well,
He's
I agree. He
boring and
absolutely is.
he's so much. The actor is so
Yeah.
much better on Sherlock in that
Mhm.
episode where he's with the villain in that season
Yeah.
of Sherlock,
Yeah,
and
he's-
compared to Thrawn. And Thrawn, it's like I joked on Twitter about him being
He's
like
Grand
having dad bod and
Admiral
everything
Thrawn.
else. I'm like, he's just like fat version and bored version of Thrawn. He's not even Thrawn.
This is okay.
He's
This
pandemic
is Grand.
version.
This is Grand Admiral Yon, and Sabine, who knows who Thrawn is, knows the type of person he is, to come in like all snarky and smartass. She should be like, holy fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
the last
watched
time I
him
saw
get under
you and
Sabine's-
Ezra taking a trip together
Yeah.
while I was crying.
Well, she watched Thrawn get under
He-
Sabine's skin and nearly destroy her as a person, not even physically.
Yes.
Yeah. And he should be able to do that with very few words. Just
Mhm.
put her in her place immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was expecting like, aren't you? I see you're still a child or something. Some sort of like demeaning.
Yeah.
Not a
Yes.
Jedi yet, right? Like,
would've been
yeah,
great.
yeah, that's not her. Yeah, she's
I
not the one
remember
we're
the last
concerned
time I
about.
saw you. How are your dead blah blah blahs? Because he knew that she's
Lost
the
the
reason that
purple hair.
Mandalore was lost.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It is
but-
her fault.
Instead,
Her
she just
people.
asks where Ezra is, and he comes back, and she goes, she like kicks the hip out, and just answer the question.
Oh my god!
And okay,
The fact
and I'm
when
sorry.
Ezra finds out what
And-
she did, he better have a problem with her. He better go off on her.
Yes.
No, he better, but that's not going to happen.
Oh.
But I am just going to say this: that even so, the fact that Thrawn is like, oh, Ezra is out there somewhere. He may be dead. No. Ezra is a threat to Thrawn. He's the only one who has bested him. The fact that he's even not there, or just kind of roaming around freely, goes against the character of Thrawn. Thrawn is
He
literally 5
calculated.
steps ahead of everybody.
Well, the other
is
thing,
5
because,
steps-
like before I realized that, she was gonna go out and search for Ezra. I thought Ezra was Enoch for a second. Like I was like,
There's
Yeah,
still
that's
people
what I
wishing that it
thought
were
too.
true.
like maybe we get evil
I
Ezra.
thought that too.
Ezra's under the spell of the witches. Like, oh, that would be such a cool like.
I thought that was going to be the
Plot
big reveal.
twist.
Yep, that's Ezra.
Yeah, it just wouldn't have worked because Ezra was portrayed as much taller in the show at the very end, and Wes, the actor there, is pretty short.
Come on, this is Disney Star Wars. You think they would give a crap?
Yeah.
Right?
You got a point. They'll just put his head on a body like they did in Black Widow.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
He'll take the helmet off and it'll be a girl.
I'm gonna admit I thought the same thing. Now I have, and again, this is just outsider perspective to kind of throw in here. I didn't feel that Thrawn was not intimidating. I felt like he just couldn't be bothered because he didn't view Sabine as a threat.
Oh yeah, he doesn't view Sabine as a threat, but the fact that Ezra
is a threat.
has eluded him for 7 years
10.
on what
That's fair.
10 years on one planet with a person who was as calculated and cunning and intelligent as Grand Admiral Thrawn. Like Grand Admiral Thrawn, there's a reason why everyone wants to bring him back to the Empire, because he gets shit done, because he knows what he's doing. And the fact that he has let Ezra stay alive for 10 plus years when he has not been able to leave the planet, same as him.
Unless he was under immense, people were attacking his ship all the time, and there's like pirates and space monsters and stuff.
Attack a Star Destroyer that size.
Well, that's what I mean. There had to be some reason behind why, he was tied up, so he couldn't really expend the resources he needed to look for Ezra or something.
The Dathomir bloodhounds obviously could have sniffed him out.
Now I will give a little bit. I will give a little bit of credit, and it's the tiniest little bit of credit. I like that Thrawn's uniform is not perfect anymore. It's a tiny little detail that gets under his skin and drives him crazy. But yeah, it's a very little nod to something that I like. Wow.
Wow.
I had a thing for Veruca Salt when I was a kid.
I like the band.
Blueberry. Yeah.
I will. This is my
robot
and all of this crap when it comes to Sabine. I liked that she actually looked like a freaking warrior with the cape and the Mando armor. I was like, she actually kind of looks like she knows what the hell she's doing. Too bad she doesn't, and she just
And then she gets on a giant rat horse.
Well, no, that's because that's supposed to be a wolf, because
Dave Filoni.
This is a Dave Filoni. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Dave. It looks like a rat.
Okay, so again, another nitpick. It just bothered me because she didn't get on the ship with that cape or cloak or whatever. So they gave it to her for some reason. So what the purpose does it serve? She's got armor.
Like
She's
Boba
not
Fett.
going to be cold. I guarantee you the purpose it serves is the fight that's coming up, so that we can see the burn shots through it like we saw in the Mandalorian seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only reason, so we can see those burn shots and not just sparks off her armor. Which I don't mind, but if they'd made it kind of part of everything, otherwise I just look at it like, oh, that's an action figure accessory.
Yeah.
Where's her jetpack?
That horse thing actually, it looks like a warg from the Hobbit movie.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to.
Yeah, I thought they rented that from Jacob.
I'm gonna go and drink
He's got
myself
probably-
still in a corner.
He's probably got like 4 or 5 on his property somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that
I
even
hated
sort
this
of keeps
section. It was
raccoons
like,
at bay.
here's your weaponry.
Yeah.
Hands her the freaking lightsaber. Hand her Ezra's lightsaber as she's going to go search for Ezra. Wonderful idea.
Well, because all along, Thrawn, as Grand Admiral Thrawn says, we're going to give her the opportunity to find, but we're going to kill her.
That's classic Thrawn. Like that, the whole where Balin's skull, his interaction with Thrawn, they both realize, oh, you're probably going to betray me. I liked that interaction. That was my favorite interaction of the whole thing. Oh, you're probably going to betray me. Oh, you're going to betray me too. Wonderful.
I think Balin knew that was always a possibility going into this whole thing. Because of all the other statements he made about it's a tool, it's a means to the end. He's not really buying anything that Thrawn's selling. He's just trying to ride his coattails to get what he wants.
Right.
And not in a cheesy bandwagon kind of way, but you know what I mean.
Because later on in this episode, we find out what Balin's skull is really after, and Thrawn. And he doesn't even care if they get back to the ship, go back to the galaxy, because he is after something else. He's after power, and it's an ancient power. And when his scene comes up, he actually says something that's actually kind of poignant, which kind of describes the Star Wars fandom. as a whole, and I'll come to that when I come back.
Mm-hmm. Like
Turtle people versus the zombie troopers. I want to see it.
Yes.
I hope we get that at the end.
Yes.
Like I personally enjoyed the interaction. Like I know this is definitely watered down, like dumbed down Thrawn, but I still like the little bitty specks of the old Thrawn that we get, because he's still very much calculating. Like they question him, why are you letting her go? And he's like, well, if she finds Ezra, we're just gonna kill them all anyway. Doesn't matter. But it still bothers me, the fact that he hasn't already found, captured, and killed or enslaved Ezra.
Right.
Yeah. I'm. Go ahead.
Well, there's also a little something here. Is and you see like Shin doubting her master's word, which leads me again to think that she's going to be the one that ends up killing him. Is Baylan made the promise to Sabine, and I meant to go back and listen to the actual wording of that. It is just happenstance that Thrawn gets that, and he can use it to send them out to kill her anyway. But nothing we've seen of Baylan, and there was at least part of what he said that said, no harm will come to you. You have my word. Nothing in his character says that he would actually go back on that. And so his willingness to run out there after her, unless he's just finding a way to get out there and find his source of power, and he's not actually tracking her, but that's not what we see. And it kind of just goes against the character that we've seen so far.
Right. Yeah. Like he has his own code. And like I was saying before, if it was me, I would have believed him more than anybody else if they said something like that, just because of the stuff that you've seen him say and do previously throughout the series. So up to this point,
he's the only character that comes across as a real person.
Yeah. I was going to say,
flat.
I almost get the sense that he finds purpose for Sabine, because even when he first started talking to her to offer her to come along, like there's no reason for him to even do that unless he feels like there's a purpose for her to be there.
Okay,
part of like with Baylan's character, like and I love the reveal of, oh, so you're General Baylan Skull, and everyone's just like, wait, he was a general. Of course, we all figured that much out. Like, oh my god! And then the Night Sisters are like, he's a what?
Yeah.
He's a what?
Oh, and you could chart it up to him. Well, okay, you can't really chart it up to this, but some people could argue that he was just really good at concealing, being able to be read by but they were able to communicate across galaxies.
Yeah.
Like the witches of Dathomir, like the Dark Night Witches, whatever, I keep forgetting what their actual title is. They are supposed to be a completely different sect of Force users. They don't really care whether you are a Sith or a Jedi. And so I don't understand why they were so like Jedi, like in the beginning, because like they don't really even care. It's like, we're doing our thing. Yes, we're dark side users, but the Sith don't like us either because we don't agree with all of the Sith's teachings either. So I don't understand why they didn't.
Supposed to reinforce the fact that Sabine has Force powers and she's the chosen one. Come on now.
I don't know why they didn't just lock up all of the Force users besides the one they knew. Just like, okay, all three of you, you smell of Force users that we're not part of, we lock you up. And then Morgan could have been like, no, they're with me, blah blah blah.
Those witches probably smell of whale farts.
And part of me wonders, like, if maybe Baylan is, and yes, I know people are going to be like, there's no such thing as gray Jedi. In Dave Filoni's mind, there's such a thing as a gray Jedi, and I think he's trying to lead you to believe that Baylan and Ahsoka are gray Jedis. Just one leans a little bit more towards the dark side than the other.
I get that.
You're pronouncing Filoni wrong. It's pronounced fail only.
Oh, right. Our only fails. Right. Yes, we got his only fails.
This part here where she's like riding on there's a part after this. Okay, I'll wait till then. She's got her little tracker thing out.
Which
is that a tracking fob?
which they've gone back to Empire Strikes Back tech.
I did want to ask Mando, because I did think this when she gets attacked here, would she not have noticed there were people surrounding her? Like,
not this.
If she had her helmet,
she's trash.
Yeah, she didn't have her helmet.
So she probably just could have walked up, and these guys could have been just standing in the open, and she wouldn't have seen them.
Well, that too, but
That was a good catch, Roman, of that.
even let's say she has no force powers whatsoever, because that's probably the actual truth anyway. She has still been trained, and her skills and her senses have been honed to a razor sharp point. You've seen it in many warrior movies and shows. You have a sixth sense for when you are in danger. She should have realized she was in danger. She may not have been able to see
them. It's called situational awareness.
Yeah. And this whole scene kind of plays off like she's like la 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 la, going for a stroll, gotta catch the new Pokemon on Pokemon Go, you know, like.
All right, so this right here, I don't know if y'all caught this. She ignites the lightsaber and then does this block that blocks nothing. And I think they wanted to have her block a blaster bolt. And then one savvy VFX artist said, but she didn't have the force yet or whatever, and decided not to put it in, because there is no reason for her to make that move unless she's blocking a blaster bolt and nothing hits it.
I've noticed that several times.
Let's go back just a little bit. To where before she pulls out the lightsaber, she's got to be useless with her pistols. She's blocking blaster shots with her like bracers, and it's bouncing off of her. And I'm like, okay, if she's somewhat force sensitive, that's established. I get she can maybe do some bracer blocking and stuff, but she should own these guys with her two pistols. It shouldn't be. She does the whip on one of them and electrocutes their neck. I didn't know it could do that. I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, it could. Yeah,
but you know what I mean. I've never seen her use it before, where she can electrocute. But that was cool, and I'm like, all right, she should have just wiped these guys out with all of her
Mando doing Mando things,
right? But you got to have her do lightsaber fight
again, like she did with the fight before they left the galaxy. Is she's got ranged weapons and she charges the enemy.
Right, exactly. She's right. She should have just owned them with her pistols, and instead they like disarm her and they're knocking and shooting it out of her hand and doing all these trick shots to where she has to go for her lightsaber, and then of course she gets the lightsaber out and then wipes the floor with them.
Yeah, of course.
But it should have been the other way around, where they could have written it differently, to where she needed to go for the lightsaber, and just don't even do any of the Mando stuff, because it's just embarrassing.
Yeah. And also let's just admit real quick that these are extra galactic Tusken Raiders. They were making
they were making the same sound.
Samurai Raiders.
Yeah.
And again, this is Dave not knowing subtext and just going right on the nose, because Lucas was inspired by Akira Kurosawa. So of course we're going to make these guys look like samurai.
Yeah. And again, this is just another nail in the coffin of Sabine's character, of the just, you know what I mean? It's just another weight on the scale of the destruction of that character, in my opinion, to make her dog crap at doing the Mando stuff. And there's another thing that happens way later in this in the show that it bothered me a lot. It totally took me out of the thing, and all I could think about was that one thing. Thinking about the Mando stuff.
The only other thing I was going to add to this is if they were going to insist on having something of Sabine's left behind in the last episode, so Ahsoka could suddenly get this power to psychically read where they are, they should have left something other than the helmet, because they desperately needed a stunt actor to perform these fight scenes.
Yeah,
right.
Homegirl, not very athletic, and there's that one point in time where she does that kick, and she almost gets her kick knee level, like.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, when you watch this show, you wouldn't think that she's a hardened warrior who's about 30-something years old, been fighting in wars all of her life.
Yeah, no.
Right? Yeah, like this is definitely a hardened warrior that comes from a warrior society that was raised in warriors fighting since she could hold a knife.
I don't know. I
Also-
saw that Ahsoka jump in episode 1, that little half-hearted episode 1 Ahsoka jump. So I think this is truly the Padawan of that former Jedi.
Yeah.
What I hear, quote unquote.
Wow.
It's called the
really
lead
quick.
brick technique.
Really quick, touching on that jump from episode 1 is I didn't mention it at the time because it's embarrassing. It was the poor man's version. Like, can I have that mall spin jump? No, we have small spin jump at home. As a kid with no training, I was able to do a better jump than Ahsoka did in that episode.
That's why I used the
I
clip.
went
used
out
the,
back and I did
lightsaber
it.
kid, the fat lightsaber kid
That-
clip. That
Oh,
went around.
yes.
Oh man,
That was
when
that was a
What I
mall
used in
cop
my-
kick.
That's what I used in my video. Yeah.
when I saw that video the very first time way back, I cried. It was so funny. I don't even know if young
But-
people today even know what
But
that clip
wait,
is.
what was she tracking with that thing?
That was okay.
I don't even know.
This was the last intel that Thrawn had on where Ezra is. I'm sorry, what?
Thrawn's got a
What?
spaceship. If he's got any intel, he's in there
Wait, yeah,
within 60
yeah.
seconds.
He has Thrawn has a Star Destroyer with a huge sensor array.
And on top of that, if you noticed, it had like full squadrons of TIE fighters hanging on
Yeah.
up
Right.
in there. Unless those were
Right.
non-functional.
And Ezra doesn't have a lightsaber.
No.
Is Copa
has
doing a
no
video on this
weapons.
episode? Because this is a perfect scene for him to play the Never-Ending Story song over the walkie-talkie.
Yes.
Well, like, so, as you can see, Sabine, is looking very distraught over her little walkie-talkie. That's how I felt watching any episode that had Sabine in it. It was just like, the hell is this? This is me. Like, what the hell is even this?
So many buttons, no instructions.
Daddy, chill.
Yeah.
I,
What the hell is even this?
I was like going. Shh.
I'm glad you got that reference. Thank you. Made me smile.
Now we're back on the penetration where they're removing stuff from
Penetration
from the,
fire.
from the
The USS
from the,
penetration. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
yes, from the
Okay, making sure I'm
catacombs. So these are corpses again.
Yeah.
see, I didn't know what they were. I just thought they were something. Energy
I didn't catch that at
pods
first.
or-
I saw something where somebody mentioned it, and then it makes total sense knowing the Clone Wars episodes where they brought the Dathomiri warriors
Yeah.
back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
Ain't it, man?
is Filoni's movie supposed to be going full zombie apocalypse on an interplanetary scale? Is that what he's aiming for?
I don't
Probably.
know. Okay, if it even gets
That movie's
made.
never happening. We all
Well,
know that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, we know it's not,
Okay.
but it's his goal.
Which
Anyone else
movie?
waiting?
And
Which movie
Anyone
was
else
he
waiting
supposed
for
to
a
be doing?
scene where Thrawn is showing you see
Okay.
like the blue makeup on his sleeve or something? There's
Yes.
something
Yes.
ridiculous.
I
Okay,
can't get over in
where
this
is it?
shot how much he looks like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
okay, and,
Wow, you're right.
okay,
Ethron
Josh-
Musk.
and Josh and Josh, supposedly it was announced at the last Star Wars celebration that Dave is going to be doing a live action film, which is going to wrap up the Mando verse, which is actually Jon Favreau's creation until he got usurped by Dave. And it's supposed to wrap up this entire little story here, and it's basically going to be going to be Timothy Zahn's book, Heir to the Empire, which is a Luke Skywalker story that
A
he's just
bunch
going
of
to
quotation
insert.
marks.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
just going to insert.
those are lowercase letters as well.
So
For those of you at home that don't know, Heir of the Empire was the very first revitalization. It's the very first thing we got after Jedi. And those
1990?
books. No, it's a little bit later than that, 94. I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
So what you're saying is this Heir to the Empire movie that's potentially coming out is going to be AIR Heir, and it's going to be a lot of hot air.
Hot garbage is what it's going to be.
Going to be her.
Yeah.
Gosh, look how fat he looks. It's so nauseating.
I don't know.
Thrawn would not.
I can
let himself
cosplay as
go
Thrawn
like
now.
that.
That's all I see.
In Rebels,
Doughboy
in
Thrawn.
Rebels, it shows him training against robots.
Yeah,
Right,
and
constantly.
Battle bots.
again, I'm
Constantly.
dipping my toes into Legends again, which everybody tell me you can't do that. Whatever, I don't care until something else is established that contradicts it. I'm going there. The Chiss biologically are naturally fit people based on
Yes.
the cold that they live in,
Mhm.
and all this other stuff has been established that they are naturally fit and attractive blue people.
Mhm.
They could have at least put a girdle on him or something.
I mean, because
Just
it looks
CGI
like
is six pack.
because
Yeah.
it looks like he's been hitting. Looks like he's been hitting the driver through.
Yeah.
He's
You
making
just have
all
some
that soft
creative
shell turtle
shots and
people.
just not showcase the belly. I mean, it's ridiculous.
He's been
pandemic
he's
belly.
been hitting the Darthamere witch brew too much.
Yeah, and
Oh,
this
I
is-
was
this
thinking he
is
was
no-
in that Dathomir donut shop.
And this is no dig against
Ew.
Lars Nicholson. He is who he is. He can only do what he can do in the time to prepare for the show. It's kind of like when people made fun of Tamora. Last name escapes me.
David
Coming back.
Morrison.
Coming
Morrison.
back for Boba Fett, and he first was really out of shape, but then he did the work to get into shape. When you're dealing with a physical, real person, they have certain limitations, and so I'm not taking a dig at the actor. I think the show should have done something different with the presentation of the character.
All you got to do is front on shots.
Yeah.
He looks fine if you do a front on shot or shoot him from
Yeah.
a different angle. It's
Or just chest up.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
I don't
it's
have
like
the
the
best
second
posture,
shot.
but if I'm going to get shot from the side, I'm at least going to straighten the spine a little bit.
Yeah. And the
And then we get
second, this was stupid.
this was
This
a giant
was
waste
so
of time.
stupid.
Right.
So here's
Like-
here's where I'm going to not defend this scene.
Give your take.
This is Dave Filoni did cartoons. That is his
Yeah.
stick.
Yeah.
This was a cartoon moment meant to make you say, "Aw, the cute
thought
puppy."
This was for all of the people that were forced to watch the show to put something in here to be like, oh well, Lisa had a little doggy. Look how
Mhm.
embarrassed
Yeah.
it is. It did a bad
This was
bad.
unbearably
Mhm.
bad.
I mean, this
Yeah.
is what
I
Mueller was
liked
talking
this
about in his
scene.
video.
Eh.
This is what
Oh, I
Mueller
hate
was
it
talking
so
about
much.
in his video. Star Wars has not grown up.
I'm not gonna say I like the scene because I found the whole exchange annoying, but I will say that I like that the detail that they put in this dog wolf creature animal. That way, it wasn't just
Right,
just an
dog,
animal
of course.
there. You could see personality in the animal itself.
It needed to-
I respected that.
It
But yeah.
needed to be way shorter. Just do the first part.
Oh,
where it's
yeah.
bashful. She says, "Don't follow me," and then they just cut to it and be like, "Okay, follow me," and that'd be it. Instead of this whole long, drawn out thing where it walks away and then comes back and then walks away and comes
Because
back.
they
and-
put that stuff in like the kids cartoon. Like this was a huge these little scenes were in the kids cartoon. So I can see why he did it as a callback to the cartoon. Should it have been in here? No.
No.
Did I like it because the little kid in me was like, "Oh my gosh, cute puppy."
I
Yes,
think it's called a howler or something, right?
it is.
Right.
It's a
I
howler.
think they did it.
Toy
Was,
line.
CGI was good. It looked natural, kind of when they were riding it and stuff, and it looked like all right. If I had to ride something around, this would be cool to ride on, I guess.
Cue the toilet.
Yes.
Of this.
Yeah.
Melvin's got a good point, and it kind of leads me down
Mhm.
my thought process. This goes back to Sabine's character that was established well before this series. Is she would use the resources available to her because she's on a planet where, as far as she knows, there is one starship that can get her off of this planet and get her back home. So she would not look at this and be offended and throw a little kid tantrum if the best resource she has to cover territory came walking back to her. Now,
Yeah.
maybe if they had
If you-
established long shots where maybe it was multiple days that they spent together,
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of makes sense with Mandalorians, if I remember correctly, Mando, having a history of being beast riders.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. That is one of the hallmarks of a Mandalorian warrior. Is like one of the things that they do show in Mando season 1 and 2 is him getting his crest. Like,
right.
It's a main thing. The reason why like the Mosasaur is the symbol for Mandalorians is because that was one of their first initial achievements, was being able to ride and tame and kill crate dragons. So
and
yes,
that would
very
make
much.
sense if you saw an expanse over days, like a time lapse of them spending time together and going through things. And you could even tie that into the fact that the Dathomirians, whatever they are now, were able to tame and ride beasts and maybe have some kind of crossover. Yeah, exactly. In history and Rancors, but these, whatever bastardizations they are, can ride space whales. But no, we just get a little tantrum.
I'm just thinking as a
they contradict
rational
that
human
entire
being. I'm thinking here. You have an animal that you ride. Did you want it to stay right in the middle of all that shooting and fighting and get killed?
You want it to move.
Yeah.
Because like what happens if it dies?
It's like a horse is going to get spooked, but you're not going to, scream at the horse, you ran off on me.
And this is why I said I hated the exchange, like the whole like her throwing a tantrum. I hated, but and you could have even cut all this out, and you could have still had the animal reacting like it does later. When it sees the turtle things and how, like, to me that would have been enough. And I appreciate the attention to detail they put into the animal for that part. But this scene was stupid. Also, whoever mentioned the time lapse, yes, they should have shown that to represent days, because it also would have fixed a problem at near the end where we find Ezra, and it's like, oh, cool, you found your friend in like an hour.
Yep.
Like it took.
Well, they have a clock, right? They said she only has like what, 3 days or 2 days or whatever it is while they load the ship. So the idea that it's going to be this massive time lapse isn't going to work. Yeah. And so I listened. I couldn't even get into the puppy dog thing either. I'm sorry, Mando, but it was like it was set up like I could, because like what does he say, like "Aku" or something? And it lays down so she can get on it. Tota. So then later she just starts talking to it like in human voice. This creature doesn't know her, so it starts off feeling like a Star Wars thing, and then it becomes the kid Verzi Disney Channel Dave Filoni garbage that I can't connect to anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah,
but at least it looked good. Yeah, I thought it was fine as far as how it looked, but then we had to have the frozen rock people show up.
Oh Jesus!
I also didn't like the way they interacted in the whole. She was mad at it, and it goes away and comes back. It's just like, oh, she's acting like she's 16 again or 12.
And it actually has Jiminy Cricket clothes on. I mean,
yeah. This thing, it looked horrible. It looked like a cheap puppet to me.
I mean, we can say that Star Wars has crabs.
Some toys.
It's exactly what I thought. As soon as it popped up, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna have this online for Christmas."
Yep.
I'll say this.
It reminds me. It reminds me of what is it? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The little crab that goes running up to the ship and it just gets smashed by the door.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I love how she's like, "Oh, I'm going to use my gun to shoot the thing. Why don't you just use your lightsaber that you obviously think you do better and just slice the thing up?"
Oh, she has to use her gun so she can do the most annoying thing in the entire episode.
And put her gun down.
She puts it on the ground and leaves it there and doesn't pick it up and just leaves it there. I was like, just holster the damn thing. Why are you leaving it on the ground? And I thought for sure she was going to walk away from it.
Hi, my name is Ariel, and I'm a writer for Ahsoka. And this is the commentary on guns in America and how America just needs to put them down.
It was just
all rock lives matter.
You're a Mandalorian. You wouldn't. It's your religion. You wouldn't leave it on the ground.
No one that owns a gun is going to do that. Anyone that owns a gun is going to know. Especially if you have a holster, you're not going to just set it on the ground unless you've got people pointing guns at you.
I was more worried about, is it not congruent with what a Mandalorian would do?
Oh, absolutely not.
It's like, well, weapons are my culture.
Weapons are my religion.
Yeah,
oh my God, I'm not going to put my weapon down for any reason whatsoever. Oh, cute little rock crab.
And the whole we don't understand what you're saying and pointing at stuff, it went on a little long for me. They could have just kind of condensed it. And
a little long is very generous of you, my friend.
yeah.
It was just this episode was like one of these things again. This is going to be the embodiment of we have like 10 minutes of show drug out over the course of almost an hour. Like it's just like, oh
right.
my god.
And it started off like mysterious and cool. It's a new planet, and they could have done so much with it. And we got the witches, and there's mystery and Thrawn, and what's he been doing?
And there's a time crunch, so that gives
a time
like
crunch. But instead, we get Puppy Bad and Turtle People wearing little Hobbit suits. Like
how do they put those on with the shell?
I wanted the same thing.
They're Velcro back.
Can you take it off?
That's what I thought. I didn't think the shell was actually a part of them. I thought it was like a artificial like backpack thing, and they were using it to hide.
Backpack.
Yeah, and then they could like take it off.
They're hermit crabs.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they happen to see her. They happen to see her rebel symbol, and so then he's like, "Look, I have one too." That's convenient.
Yeah.
You know who Ezra is? Ezra Bridger. And they say Ezra Bridger, and I'm like, wow, this is something. Again, this is something.
Well, the dog understands, so you might as well have the rock people understand too, because it's convenient for the plot. Makes no sense, but it's convenient.
It's right. This is just plot
It
convenience.
is
There we go.
Incredibly convenient if we give them the fact that he's been living with this nomadic tribe for a while. I could give them a little bit to say that they were able to pick up his name and maybe a few words. But still, just the fact that they were out there and found her while she was following a dog that just wanted a drink of water. Stupid.
Yeah. You want a plot convenience, you could have done a lot better.
This scene here, we're starting to get a little more of what Baylan Skoll is after. And so, but at some point, you can't keep dropping breadcrumbs, Dave. You got to give us the meal because, again, Ray Stevenson is carrying every scene he is in. And
you got 2 episodes left.
And he says something when, and this is what I think this really struck me, was when Shin asked him, you miss it, the order. And he says, I miss the idea. And just, I think last week, when I heard Gary say that Star Wars is now just an idea now, and folks are clinging to this idea of what Star Wars was. And so anything that remotely feels close to that, they are just going to grab onto it and just like don't say bad things about Star Wars because I like this. I want the pew pew. I want the laser swords. I want people doing force things. It doesn't matter if the story sucks. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if the characters suck. There's not even a story. Right.
The story doesn't suck. There isn't a story. It's just things happening. There's just no story.
That's what I was going to say. You should. So part of the reason there's not a story is because we don't know any of these characters' motivations for the most part.
Correct.
Like, the only motivation we remotely know is Ahsoka wants to stop Thrawn, but we don't know why or how she thinks Thrawn is actually there to begin with. So you don't have that drive. We don't know Baylan's motivation in detail anyway. So we don't understand his drive. And I guess we kind of understand what Thrawn's doing if you know the source material, but if like me, you don't, you're kind of like, what is his goal?
He's a threat to our galaxy. We've heard he's a threat to the main galaxy, and he's trying to get there. Yeah, and we know Sabine is trying to get to Ezra, but again, that's the homework class. Like if you didn't take the prerequisites for Ahsoka, you're going to be extremely confused. But there's no real story here. No. It's just a lot of things happen, and you're just supposed to enjoy some headcanon and write your own fan fiction.
If you could have, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and the problem is it really isn't happening. It's like a CW coffee shop episode. Everyone's standing around looking at each other, talking. There's not any real lightsaber fights, hardly at all. There's no space battles. There's no laser fights. If it had more of that stuff, it would be a better show because there was like action and things to do, and it would be more exciting at least than just watching people stand around staring at each other with, like Josh was saying, what's their motivation?
Kind of to dovetail of what Joker was saying, is a lot of the back and forth between Baylan and Shin this episode, I think, is meta commentary, even if it's accidental meta commentary. Because earlier they're talking about, he's talking about the stories and the folklore, and she dismisses like, well, sometimes stories are just stories. And then he laments about, the cycle where it just repeats again and again and again, which is ironically what Disney has done with so many things, where they just repeat the same thing over and over again, being worse every single time. And then you have this where I kind of identify with that, where, well, not really with that specifically, but it's like, I guess modern Star Wars fans like the idea of Star Wars. Or like there's no more connection. Like everybody seems to like the idea of Star Wars, but no more connection between different groups on what it is. And I don't know if that's intentional, that they're bringing in the current state of the fandom into the story of the Jedi, but it just seems to play out.
I think that it's just become the saturation of the sort of like MCU comic book fans. It's the T-shirt and Funko fans that are sort of like saturated everything, and now the writers and the creators are careful. I know.
I have one,
but it's not about the Star Wars lore and mythology. It's just it's about the very superficial, popcorn version of stuff.
Yeah, but basically, just in general, that was my comment. Is basically everything between Baylan and Shen is meta commentary, and while I liked it because Ray Stevenson is saying it, it also kind of grated me.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it was Josh who said it earlier. It was like it bothered me because they just fell short of telling me what's going on. Mm-hmm. There was no reason for the audience to be kept in the dark again.
I think Filoni was trying to set up Baylan to be the big bad Jedi for his movie, but that's not going to happen now.
See, I don't think he ever set him up to be his bad Jedi. I think he's supposed to be the catalyst for something worse.
Well, see, the only problem with that is they have 2 episodes to make him find what he wants,
right? Use
it, cause the thing that's going to set everything off, and then not be there anymore for everything afterwards.
Well, the way they write the show, they can do it in 5 minutes at the end.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
They're going to do it where they're going to kill him off the way they killed off Luke. He is going to overdose on this new power, and he's just going to vanish.
Poof.
I'm in the camp that Shin is going to think that he's out of his mind. She's going to kill him, and that's not their original plan, but that's what they have to do now. Is that she'll end up switching sides, sort of, and working with the good guys.
Well, or she's gonna, or because it's showing in here, she wants to get back to the ship. Screw Sabine.
Yeah.
Screw Ezra. I want to go back home.
So she's going to either kill or abandon him on the planet to go back. And I do think that she's going to end up joining the good team because she just doesn't like Thrawn. And if that movie were to go forward, you can't have any bad guy other than Thrawn.
And she also doesn't like the Night Sisters either.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And plus she locked eyes with Sabine. Mm.
Oh.
If they freaking have them scissoring, I'm gonna
Joker, stop it.
It would be the best. It'd be the best. Just going for it.
Yeah.
So here's my theory on how this is gonna play out. And I probably am wrong, but this is still my theory. I'm thinking that Baylan's gonna find whatever he's looking for. It's gonna be something so vehemently bad and horrible that every single person's gonna have to work together to get rid of it, and then somehow Thrawn betrays them all and leaves them on the planet to die.
That's a lot to do, and
I guess that's way too much for 2 episodes with these people.
Right, and plus you never know, because we have seen an episode that is literally like 25 minutes long, so you never know. That's
useless scene. My enemy is my friend for now. Okay, we get it. Whatever. More Ninja Turtle grasshoppers.
Yeah,
how are these things
getting
even
more
a
crabs?
threat? How are they even a threat? Like,
oh, look, and there's their village that they move
rock
around.
trolls, baby,
It's not
rock trolls.
Hobbiton, it's Harfoots. They move around carrying their homes on their back.
They're Harfeetsies, and I won't hear otherwise.
Which again, you're on a planet that you haven't left this planet for 10 years. There's only X amount of space you can go to.
Yeah.
So moving around really doesn't make a lot of sense, because I'm pretty sure there's not a spot on this planet that you haven't been to.
Yes, but you see, when they lay down and put the rocks over their backs, somehow their homes become invisible too.
Do they?
They don't have a heat.
No, they
signature.
don't. It's
That's what I was
stupid.
gonna say. It's like an open plane.
Like,
How do you miss that?
They're barely more looking at their persons. They look barely more mechanically advanced than Ewoks, but they have little homes that float in the background. You can see some of them float. So they have access to technology, which would be available to be scanned by the Chimera.
I thought that they were like living in like ship ruins or something. You know what I mean? Like all those pieces of crash ships.
Melvin.
I would have thought that too, except it was so uniform between each one, and then upon a second watch, I noticed that some of them are floating right before they move out to pack up.
Poor soul, you watched this a second time, huh? Wow.
Yeah, I had a lot to drink the first time, and at least wanted to be somewhat, coherent this time.
I'm not sure if it's the next slide or the next one, but we're about to get the big reveal. You guys ready?
Oh, it was so
the emotionless reveal.
Dumb.
It's a lot.
To the credit, he does look like he does look like his father was depicted in the show previous, which I give him credit for that. I'm trying to give little bits of credit.
He looks like how he's supposed to look.
Yes.
Yeah. And I also thought, is that Duke Leto?
I thought it was Aladdin, to be honest. I was like, when did Aladdin join Star Wars?
I thought it was fine.
Well, Mando, the guy who played Aladdin in the live action Aladdin film, that's him. That's why.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a trailer park. That's what it is. It's a trailer park.
Now,
wow,
this is so stupid.
I thought she was gonna run to him and kiss him. I really did.
Yeah,
I was
that's like something you would think would happen if you thought somebody was dead for 7 years.
Or even if I hadn't seen my sister for 10 years and thought that I might never again in my life, I would have more of a reaction than these two did. So let's give them the familial kind of relationship. It still doesn't work.
It's a whole new world.
It's like they haven't seen each other for 6 weeks.
Right? Like maybe a month or two.
It was too much of an awkward pause
10
before the hug.
Mother effing years. Like, I thought I would never see you again, and I thought you were dead. Oh, you're standing in front of me. Yay.
She has no emotion of any significance, though. She's so bland looking. Yeah.
Yeah, but Pops, a awkwardly long pause in a series that is nothing but awkwardly long pauses seems kind of par for the course.
I know it saturates the effect of this exaggerated long pause. I know.
Yeah, it was very anticlimactic.
Where did he get the armor? Like, I don't know if he
that's off of the samurai guys. Yeah, he got off the samurai raider dudes. You can see his shoulder piece is like their armor,
right?
And so he's got
that's
been
his
killing him.
Mixed match.
Yeah, he's been killing him.
And of course, Ezra naturally is like, how did you get here? You're right, the howler. Wow, how did you get here? Yeah,
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to
Yeah.
talk about how I have actually ruined every single thing that you did to save our galaxy. I have thrown it all away just to give you a freaking hug, like you're my person that I haven't
Right.
seen in weeks.
Yeah, and let's not tell him the important thing that she may be being followed and
about to leave the
might
planet
lead people to this
days.
village to get everybody killed. Might be important.
Right, and I always hate that. They're like, I'm gonna, I've been bit by a zombie, but I'm not gonna tell anybody until I turn and then infect everybody's storyline, which is basically what this is. Because she needs to tell them immediately, hey, Thrawn captured me, but he let me go, and then he's gonna follow me here probably, and we're all screwed. And he's loading up the ship, and he's gonna bounce. So,
and it's not even about what she wants to find him to find him. She wants to find him for her own satisfaction, for her own reasons. Happiness. She didn't want to give him a hug. She wants to take a hug. She doesn't say. She says, "Let's not talk about that. I just want to be happy right now." I mean, the wording isn't exactly this, but it was basically, "Don't I deserve that?" And it made me so mad.
Little teenage
bitch.
B word. Yes, bitch.
There are other words I'm not going to say here.
See you next Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and like we said earlier, ideally, he will freak out whenever he finds out.
But
he's not going to.
Smiling like, look, everything's all right. Everyone's gonna be safe. I know that you literally sacrificed yourself to make sure Thrawn.
Is she gonna relinquish the lightsaber to him?
No.
Of course not.
Probably made another lightsaber and doesn't need it.
He'll tell her that she deserved it. Okay, ideally, again, let's go into my ideally. Ideally, like I've been saying from the beginning.
Hey, Beard, really quick. Pops, did you get a bounce?
Yeah, I have to bail out to get her some rest. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I stayed a little while. I'm glad I got to this Skeksis part of the show and was able to make some of the rock monster references. And listen, it's always great hanging with everybody here. Thanks, everybody. Chat, you guys are amazing. I mean, just freaking hysterical. So you guys have a good week. Talk hard and be blessed.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Pops.
Later, Pops.
Love you, Pops.
Oh man, now
that would have made the show even better.
No, kind of like I said at the beginning. Ideally, Sabine's arc would be
that's going to be a toy right there.
Yeah, she'll try to be a Jedi. She fails to be a Jedi and throws it back in Ahsoka's face. Now, what I would like to see is that Ezra tells her that when he left her that message, it was never that he never wanted her to follow in his footsteps and be her own person. That would make for a good arc. We won't have that, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if
you can do it.
If we were gonna, and look again, coming from someone that doesn't know, the source material these characters come from, if we were gonna have a good story here, Ezra would have found her out there instead of her finding him.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Yeah. But we can't have the man, find the girl. No.
And
the girl can't even be a strong whammin. They've weakened the strongest whammin they could.
Too much whack.
This is gonna be, and when Ezra's like, because again, Ezra is under the mindset of,
right.
We're gonna be heading home. Cool. And she's like, yeah, about that too. But again, where's Ezra's force abilities? They can sense feelings. He should be like, wait a minute, something's not right. Why are you really here? Something's not right.
How the hell did you get here? I haven't seen you for the last 10 years.
Or maybe he should be angry that she came.
Yes.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing here? What? Like everything that I did, everything I sacrificed, he sacrificed his entire life. His home.
He has that one line where he says, like, I knew you would find me. And
no, he didn't.
No, he did. He had a line where he says, I knew you'd find me.
Oh no, I mean
in the show.
Oh, yeah. So in the show, he says, and I'm fine with that if he made the sacrifice knowing there's a chance that they would eventually find him because that's the faith he has in them. but also that should kind of what we're saying. The moment he sees her, he can say that I knew you'd find me, and then he should be right into that. We got to get back.
Yeah,
it should be Jack from Lost. We have to go back.
Yeah, the problem there is that message we saw at the beginning was retconned because the decision he made at the end of the show was a on the spot decision.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And
absolutely
so
on the spot.
The only accurate thing is when they say that he had no plan.
Right.
He didn't. He just wanted to get Thrawn out of the picture. That was his only goal.
He realized that the space whales could do it. He didn't know where the space whales were going. He didn't know anything about the migration patterns of the space whales. They only just discovered the space whales like the previous episode of Rebels. Like it was like, oh, I'm going to use the means that I have right now and go off into the unknown.
But even if that's the case, that should have been more of a reason for him to have urgency to want to leave, knowing that Thrawn's out there.
Right.
Like, did you know that Thrawn is looking for me? That's why we have to continually move because Thrawn is actively hunting me for the last 10 years.
And
about that. I just talked to the guy. Yeah, he's probably tracking me right now.
Right, but I don't want to talk about that right now.
I just want to be happy.
Released.
Yeah,
I was released by Thrawn not 10 minutes ago.
And I don't know if you have the spoon of foreshadowing handy, Joker, but let's not skip over the line. I can't wait to go home.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going home.
No.
He will either die or he will make the sacrifice again, and she will just have to fucking deal with it.
Yep,
there we go.
Or I bet you what he's gonna do is so we know that Ahsoka is coming back on the ship. I bet you $1 million that he is going to put Sabine, Balin's or Shin Hati, like those two on Ahsoka's ship, and Ahsoka and Huyang are going to escape while he finally, for once and for all, takes down Thrawn.
He can't take down Thrawn though, because the potential for a movie that we know probably won't happen. Filoni is going to leave that open as an option. That would make for that'd make for a better ending. But I think he's going to he's either going to die or make a useless sacrifice that means that he has to stay on the planet.
Yeah.
They can't have him around.
Yeah. And then the scene.
It's retarded.
You're not terribly wrong, Matt.
She was still more useful. Like she was useful.
Yes. She had an arc. A lot of her beginning arc. She was, but she came around.
Yeah, her beginning arc, I hated her.
She came around.
The thing about Ezra though is that he's going to present them unless they kill him off or strand him here or something. He's going to be the same problem that Luke is.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't have a strong male Jedi running around because it's going to. You know what I mean? You can't. If you had Luke in the world running around doing stuff, that's all people would care about,
right?
You know what I mean? They'd want to see him and everything. Yeah. So, exactly, Zax. Oh wait, that's not what I meant. I just read the first part. But but see what I'm saying? He's gonna be problematic for them because they're gonna have to diminish him somehow.
And then he would become one with the Force.
Yeah, he's gonna be cool and he's got to be around for a little bit, but he's got to go away.
I mean, it's an out there theory that I've mentioned before. The fact that Filoni wants to have his own universe, his own galaxy where he can do his own thing. This could lead to how he could do that, where the only characters that matter for the film would go back to the Star Wars galaxy, and Ezra, Balin, and Shin, and maybe a Night Sister or two would stay on that planet. Now he has his whole other sandbox that he can play in for his stuff without having to mess with any kind of timeline that it should exist. I think it's still a very far out there thing, but as we've seen from Filoni, I don't see that as being impossible that he would want it.
Right. I mean, he wants his own EU book. Like, let's be honest. He wants his own EU saga because that's one of the best things about the EU is there are some crazy, outlandish, wild things with some of the EU books and series and stories. Not all of them were great, but it's still better than the trash that we're getting here. in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know where this is all going.
Every chance they get, they show his belly.
Yep. And this is where he talks about, I don't care if we leave everyone else behind. We're leaving, right?
And to his credit, and like I've said before, I don't really like this depiction of Thrawn or what was in Rebels, but that seems like a very Thrawn line to me.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, there are like little nuggets of actual Thrawn in this.
I completely disagree because this is now a loose end. Thrawn hates loose ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a perfectionist.
Good point.
Hey, what's up, Loki? Thanks for.
I fully expect him to like as soon as he gets all of the Knight and Sisters magical thingamabobber and he has no use for it, I think he's probably going to get rid of them too.
Yeah,
and Bobby makes a good point here. Bobby makes a really good point here. Since Ezra was known to commune with the Purrgil, why is he still there?
Good point. Okay,
because this is where they come to die.
Well, I was going to say stupid Filoni writing room explanation would be they only come back every 10 years, but they'll never say it.
Probably.
Which would make more sense.
It would, and it would fix a lot of plot holes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't understand why. I really don't understand why the moment that Morgan Elsbeth sees Thrawn doesn't just shoot her for her incompetence, bringing people that could ultimately like bring him down. Like when he talks about, Ahsoka's on her way, and Elsbeth is like, well, Baylan said that she died. He's like, you trust the word of an ex-Jedi? You're an idiot.
I do like his line that Jedi and like Night Sisters deal and like the illusion of life and death. I thought it was a good line, and it's the only clue that we have this entire episode that the stormtroopers are dead.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. I kind of. No, they wouldn't do that. Part of me kind of wonders if he's not like indebted to them in some way that's keeping him alive too.
I don't know. I think it'll be a big. They're going to reveal next episode that the stormtroopers are zombies.
Probably.
They're going to have to. Otherwise, what's the But I don't know. Maybe he's keeping her around so he can figure out the full scope of her failures. You know what I mean? Like, he knows
she's the only
she's
one
got
who's
some
been connected to the Empire in the last 10 years, so I guess that's
right. Yeah, so he needs to pick her brain for info, and also he probably suspects she has more failures up her sleeve.
Oh yeah, so he's like, I want to find out how much of a failure you are, and then once I do, I'm going to kill you.
I got to point out that the stormtroopers in the background were, I'm not going to call them what they say they are. No, that's true. They're not stormtroopers. They're night troopers. A lot of them had the exact same animation walk cycles, and as soon as I saw it, I could not unsee it.
Oh, well,
it was like a video game, completely replaying everything, not even any nuance. It was exactly the same.
Well, you're supposed to be focused on Thrawn's belly this whole time. So.
It does have its own gravitational pull.
Like I get that his outfit is white, but like the last 10 years,
you're right.
Maybe like do a darker color so you don't see the belly as much.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea.
Right? Like, hey, I know that I was wearing white the last time you saw me, but now I'm wearing black because I've gained a few pounds.
Or just do the shot like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Nobody needed to see the belly.
Just pretend he's pregnant.
Yeah.
Like on a sitcom when you just ignore it and shoot around it. So he says something along the lines of, we're going to assume that Ahsoka Tano is alive well till we have proof otherwise. That makes sense.
Yes.
That's another kind of Thrawn-like line. And
I still say that he and Baylan are the only competent people in this entire episode.
Probably. But he says, I want to...
I wouldn't say that.
I think Baylan more than Thrawn. But Thrawn is more competent than almost everybody else, but just not on the par.
Right, the bar is extremely low.
Yeah.
But like Baylan and Thrawn are the only two competent people in this entire episode, and Thrawn's not even that great. Baylan's actually the competent person here.
He says like he says he wants to know everything about Ahsoka, her past, her family, her master, and all this. And I've got a question because he knew enough about obscure Jedi to know that Balin was a general.
Right.
Well, he also fought in the Clone Wars.
Right.
Right.
And,
and he
yes,
and he's one of the only ones, one of the few that knew who Darth Vader was.
Yes, in the extended universe,
So
there's
he
a
would
book
know,
where they meet,
already
if I
know.
remember correctly. Like Anakin and Thrawn meet, right? In one of the EU books.
Yes.
And Thrawn is like Bane, and not the movie Bane, comics Bane, where he figures out that Batman is Bruce Wayne by his mannerisms and how he carries himself.
Yeah.
And Thrawn would know that. If he would know
Thrawn
that, if he had
would know who
experience with
Ahsoka's master
Anakin,
is.
he would know that Anakin was her master. Then he would observe Vader and know that Vader was Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, I know they put it in there because they have to put it in there, but it should be something he knows.
And okay, and this whole thing of, and another thing, this is just saying lines to say lines. I want to know her homeworld. You can tell by looking at her, she's a Togruta.
Yeah.
So you already know.
Yeah.
Forgot that was in there.
Homeworld is.
Yeah, it's not like, she's wearing a disguise or anything. So,
but it's not like this is his first encounter with her either.
Right, exactly. But let's acknowledge Melvin's. We've got another franchise here. Maybe Thrawn is Quato. So from
maybe Jar Jar Binks is Darth Vader.
Yeah. But another great movie. That's better than this show.
Okay, yeah. Loki says the book was called Outbound Flight, and Joshua says he literally knew Vader was Anakin. Thrawn Alliance. I had kind of stopped reading a lot of Star Wars books at one point, but I knew the references were there.
Now, did he figure it out, or did he just get a piece of intel or something?
I'm certain he figured it out.
Okay.
I don't know for a fact from the source, but I bet he figured it out.
Because from my understanding, I just watched Rebels. I didn't read any books or anything, but Thrawn is the definition of 4D chess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, he is one of the most intelligent, non-force users, non-super important characters of all of Star Wars. Like, he is the super intelligence level.
And he had to be, and not only that, but incredibly confident, and subtly manipulative. What we get from this version is he sounds manipulative, he sounds slimy because he came up in an empire that didn't like aliens. He had to prove himself at every single point to reach that status.
Right.
So he had to be perfect at every turn and use every weakness against his enemies.
And here's the other thing that people fail to remember, or maybe don't know, is that the Empire was extremely anti-alien. So the fact that they promoted a Chiss to any rank of an admiral, right there shows exactly how competent and strong he was. Because normally they would only promote humans. I don't even think I can't remember aliens being used in anything they did, except maybe mines or
slave labor.
The original EU empire was completely xenophobic and sexist, honestly. For the longest time, there was only one woman of note, and that was Admiral Dala.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the Emperor's Hand with Mara Jade.
Yeah.
It was
which I'm sorry, Star Wars fans out there. I know you're clamoring for the Mara Jade. You don't want Mara Jade.
I don't want Disney Mara Jade. Oh, hell no.
I don't want her, and I don't want Kyle Katarn. Two of my favorites.
Yeah.
She won't be a redhead for one thing.
Right? Hashtag ginger side is real.
Yep. And
because those folks who know Mara Jade, you know how her story ends. She's killed by Jason Solo, who doesn't exist in Disney canon.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got her. Wait, what was the other? You were talking about her. Man, I had it, and then something Beard was saying. about in
Kyle Katarn.
Yeah, Kyle Katarn. That's it.
Yeah.
Where is he at in this timeline? Like,
Where's Cal Kestis?
I'm not sure where he fits into the timeline.
He doesn't.
Well,
he can't unless they completely recreate his origins because they've already blanketed over everything. I think that they basically gave us the Disney version of Kyle Katarn with and the name is escaping me now, Ezra's master in Rebels.
Kanan Jarrus?
Kanan.
Yes.
I think that is the closest that we were ever going to get to Kyle Katarn.
Because I knew him from the video games.
Right, and
he was a cool
character. If I'm wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Kyle Katarn who steals the Death Star plans.
Yes, in the games, yes.
Right. I just remember running around with him with like double lightsabers, killing everything.
Yeah, those are great games, and he actually did get written into kind of retroactively into other stories involving the early days of the Jedi Academy, and he was a really good character, and he never did really fit in with the Jedi Academy, kind of like what you saw in the games. And he kind of led off to other really good characters that I would love to see. I used to want to see, but I do not want to see touched anymore.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're just going to trash everything.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm so confused because they got the timeline so jacked up now. I can't keep anything straight, except that Ray Palpatine. That's about it.
Well, even
the brick wall. That is the brick wall.
Even the timeline for what we're watching right now, nobody's really certain of exactly what it's happening. And you can't factor in EU stuff because it doesn't work anymore.
Well, also because like they originally, when Disney first bought the property, they were like, the EU is no longer canon. But of course they Frankenstein stuff from it all the time.
Oh yeah.
But man, I love so much
it's like,
EU stuff.
Like Thrawn shouldn't have happened until much later, which made sense when the TIE Defenders came out, because then it would have been a more advanced version of all the TIEs that we had been seeing at the time. When those showed up in Rebels, I immediately checked out because it didn't fit.
The TIE Defenders are the ones with jump drives on them, right?
Yes, and they've got like 3 different angled solar panels and like 6 cannons.
Okay, they got deflector shields, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was like the next evolution. It shouldn't have come early. So anyway, kind of like I said with the I guess it was the previous episode. Man, I've already forgotten because it's all just blurring together. And as soon as I watch it, it checks out. I can appreciate multicolored keys jangling in my face, but it doesn't mean that I like it. It's shiny. It looks pretty, but it doesn't really satisfy.
No.
Right.
It's like eating a cake it tastes good, kind of, but maybe like you have that sugar rush for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so overall, what was everyone's? We can go around like the horn here. What was everyone's opinion on this episode, real quick?
Meh.
Yeah.
We're the same.
It's still better than Kenobi. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
I'd rather watch this than that.
It still looks better than other things most of the time, but it still has about 20% content for each episode.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
To me, it feels very clear this should have been a movie and not a series.
Yeah.
And it would have worked much better. It probably would have felt more epic too, coming out of the animated series. And we keep running into the problem that we've mentioned in multiple episodes, is that it's just boring. I think the one episode that we didn't describe as boring was episode 4. I think that we thought actually had some nice momentum to it.
I think so.
But yeah, it's a boring show. It's boring acting. There's no stakes. It doesn't feel like there's stakes. So that's my stance.
All right. Okay.
Do we? I don't want to necessarily. Cause I'm the guy that doesn't have a show here. I don't want to. I was about to say if we wanted to give Joker a chance to talk before he cut out, because he's been having some issues.
Yeah, he had some internet issues. I was just getting ready to bring that up. Follow follow Joker Voice on his channel. He's got a lot of good content.
Friday Night Royal Rumble,
yeah.
I think is definitely going to be something he's on. I don't remember what all other shows he's normally on. Dang it.
Yeah, he's on a lot of stuff. Let's see if we can drop his link.
Yeah,
in the
Legion
chat.
Talk,
Yeah.
Friday Night's Royal Rumble, and then something on something Sunday is he's.
If you go to his channel, you'll be able to see. Oh wait, here he is. He's back. Hey, there he is. Sorry about that, Joker.
Oh, no worries. I'm getting lag and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna bounce.
Yeah.
That's
We
cool.
were just gassing up your channel. Go ahead
we were
and
shouting you out.
let people know where they can find you and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely. Tomorrow I will be dropping a topic talking about a article saying that the fans love the casting of Ahsoka because of the women, and they love it. No, we really don't. Anyway, and then tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, on Legion Talk, that'll be Friday Night's Royal Rumble. Sorry I have to cut out early, but you guys have all been great. It's always a pleasure coming here. Sister.
It's always great having you on, Joker.
And
Yeah.
Sword Brother. All right, guys. Guys, have a great night.
Yep. Have
And
a good one, man.
Later, Joker.
All right, awesome. Yeah, it's always great when he's on. Just real quick, Matt has this point here. I agree, Matt. The kid that played Ahsoka is 100 times better than anybody on the show,
Yes.
except Ray Stevens. I was like, man, I was really into that. You know, it had some problems thematically and stuff, but her the way she acted and the way she looked was great.
Yeah, and I was actually typing out a response. I completely agree that she should have stayed dead, because a meaningful death can make a good story great.
Yeah.
And
Disney's afraid of killing off their characters.
yeah, I mean, to go to something that's completely not related, this one of my favorite shows ever, Cowboy Bebop. You can see a little bit of it up there. I, for years as a kid, defended that Spike did not die at the end. It was only after I grew up a little and realized that he has to die to make that story meaningful and good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you just can't keep your heroes around forever, or they become diluted. Just look at modern comic books.
Look at Marvel and DC continually reviving their dead characters.
Yep.
And so having
Boromir.
a meaningful death, at least, let's just say at least for a period of like 5 to 10 years, there needs to be a period at some point before the next chapter starts, or you write the next book. And without it,
Pass
it's
off
just
the
as meaningless.
torch.
Yeah.
Well, it's this whole thing that we're not getting any consequences in our stories right now. So characters are doing
Your
things
flight
and they
papers.
don't matter. You know, that's why, I mean, we're saying it without saying it, but we've mentioned multiple times, like, the show doesn't matter. Whatever happens in the show isn't going to matter. It's because there are no consequences. We're not playing into consequences. And consequences are typically what creates that drive, that suspense in scripts or movies or TV or whatever it is. You don't have it there. So once you eliminate that, you really don't have a reason to keep coming back, because you're sitting here going, I don't care because it doesn't matter.
That's kind of what
or
made
like they keep rebooting Batman, they keep rebooting Spider-Man, they keep rebooting Superman. Like, come on, like give us something
they
new.
need to do fresh new stories. Same with Star Trek. Just move the timeline along.
Or even
or
just
move it
being
all the way back.
Even just being willing to kill, which, as Mando said, they can't kill off their characters, but being willing to kill off characters, like if they killed off Ahsoka and brought Sabine in to take over, or something like that, kind of like they did with Kanan, he got killed off in that show. That's kind of what made the first few seasons of Walking Dead interesting before it just became a slog and everybody became invincible, is that you did not know who was going to survive that episode. And that made for interesting watching.
Yeah, and also I'd like to highlight this comment from Nico Glock. For those of you out there that are liking this show, that more power to you. I'm glad that you like the show, and if that's, you know, you're happy with it and you're getting and entertainment and enjoyment out of it, then that's great. And
I'm happy that some people like it, but at the same time, I also wish that it was better, because they, as viewers who enjoy it, deserve better, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I would
that's just
probably
it.
I personally would probably enjoy it a lot more if Sabine was a better character.
Yes, and that's just it. Is that we know they can do better. We've seen it.
Well,
if we know these characters can be better.
Yeah.
If they had competent writers.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. Has anybody gone back and like? So when you like first watched the show, I'm a little off topic here, but like maybe DS9 or something, when it first came out on TV, or if you're that old, or you first saw it on DVD or whatever a few years ago, and you were like, it was pretty good, but it wasn't that great, or it was okay, or yeah, that was pretty good. But if you go back and watch those episodes now compared to what's coming out now, you're like, this is Shakespeare. This is a masterpiece of writing. It's unbelievable how good those shows are compared to stuff they're putting out now. It is
even Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah. Even Enterprise. I mean, it had its ups and downs.
And I liked that series.
But it's just it's like what happened?
Streaming happened.
Yeah.
They realized they could make a semi-decent product that you're going to purchase for a lot cheaper than making the big blockbuster movies.
Yeah.
And kind of something like to touch on something we've said before. And I tried to make a point to mention because it's easy to be negative is I don't want to be negative because I want to. I love Star Wars. I want it to be fantastic. And if you can go into something not dragging all the knowledge that I have in my head that has already defined certain characters that you're falling in love with, that's great for you. But it's terrible for all the other fans that have that knowledge because it makes us feel kind of like we're kind of all left behind when there's so many things they could do to bring that knowledge to everybody else. And it just seems like they just don't care. And I don't hate on it because I hate it. I'm upset because I love it.
That's just it. If we just hated it and to hate it and we're like, oh, this show sucks. No, we wouldn't watch it. We wouldn't be here talking about it. We're talking about it because we want it to be good.
And this is the problem with everything. It's the people making Rings of Power, Wheel of Time, Star Wars. They like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking the idea of it and just throwing away the rest and making up their own.
Making it into their own image.
That goes back to what Balin said. He liked the idea of the Jedi, but not everything else.
And also, I'll recognize the hard work that the production crew puts into it.
Oh yeah.
That the people that are behind the show, just all the work that goes into it. It's just for whatever reason, just the writing is not that good, and
the VFX artists deserve some awards for it.
Absolutely. And I think this is,
it looks fabulous,
and why it looks good is they've gone through
most of the time.
They've worked through that the COVID backlog and all that kind of the pandemic backlog to where they were working from home and they were overworked and they had too many shows all piled up. And this is what the quality that you get when you've got the right amount of people doing the job. And I don't know what kind of crunch they were on, but hopefully it wasn't too bad. But if you give them time to actually work their craft, this is the kind of stuff you can get. And I'm hopeful that they can, if they change up the writers' rooms, they can get better quality stuff, and the shows will just get better.
Well, even writing aside, I'm curious. I'm tempted, I should say, me with no editing ability, and I don't even know if I have editing software other than like Windows Movie Maker, and tempted to go in and see if I could make, just by tightening up some of the dialogue and cutting out some of the things here and there. If you can take a 40-minute episode and make it a really interesting 25-minute episode.
Yeah, like most of my like kind of shouting my channel out, but like whenever I have thrown out videos, like some of my 10 to 15-minute videos reviews, those were actually like 45-minute episodes, and I just shrunk all of my and all of the extra baggage that didn't need to be in the in my video. I just shut it down, and a lot of my videos are like 10, 15, 20 minutes because I just had I say a lot of extra things, and I don't.
Yeah,
it's not needed.
I bet you could 10 to 15 minutes just by shortening those pauses a little bit. And as you see here, especially with streaming, because we have delays and things, people do sometimes overtalk each other, even when they're in a one-on-one back and forth conversation. And that's something Steven Spielberg has done, which I have delved into some of those classic movies, thanks to this guy right here above me, Jacob. But that makes his dialogue feel natural. And having a multi-second pause between a question and an answer when there is no thinking that should be happening and the character's face doesn't express thinking, that could be much tighter. And I'm not a movie guy. I barely watch movies or TV anymore, and I can figure that out. So, anyway,
I genuinely feel like I could probably take, once all these 8 episodes are done, I could probably make a 3 to 3.5 hour film.
Easy.
Do it.
Yeah,
I still need to watch a couple of those Kenobi cuts that are apparently supposed to be.
There are people out there that do that'll edit it, and and we've seen it from like director's cuts and the Snyderverse and all this, is that editing can make or break a film.
Oh yeah.
Bad edit will destroy a film, or you could take one that's a ho-hum film, and if you edit correctly, it'll make it much better. And that's what I'm saying is that I do truly believe there are a lot of people behind the scenes that are working hard on this, but some of the people that are making some of the decisions about the lore and the canon and stuff, they just don't really, they either don't have the capability to do it or they just don't care.
I think the main constraint, also shouting out America because he's my editor, he's a cool dude. It's the suits. The suits are holding the creatives back. It's the business people who are like, who aren't creatives. They're telling the creatives what they can and cannot do. And should you put some boundaries on certain creatives? Absolutely. Do that. Yes, you have to make budgets. You have to make sure that things are within a certain time frame. Sure. But as far as what the content of something is, suits shouldn't be making these decisions. And you can see time and time again, that's probably who's making a lot of the main decisions are people who have no business making creative decisions.
Well, a lot of the other stuff is that they have to find a way to weave the message in all this stuff, which is inherently it is going to make for it's like a straitjacket on your writing, and it stovepipes it so you can't branch off and do other things. And then if you have marching orders from people above you on top of that, it makes it, there's only so far you can go with it, and it destroys the stuff.
Yeah, that kind of strikes me as maybe where it's breaking down, because again, I'm not in this industry. I barely touch it for entertainment. But in any aspect, creatives are balanced out by intellectuals, and in cinema or film or TV creation, the creatives are having the intellectuals encourage them with the themes and messages that they want to put in things. So they're not balancing each other; they're just all running the same direction. Oh, there's the man's
George,
here himself.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by.
George, why'd you do this to us? Why'd you do this to us? I take back what I saw about the prequels.
The prequel haters didn't know what they were talking about. we need to string them all up.
Again, like I was saying, it's like watching DS9 now. The prequels are masterpieces.
I was always a prequel defender. I have always been a prequel defender. You will never change my mind, and I hate how George Lucas was treated after the prequels were out.
That fight with the Duel of Fates was awesome.
Yeah, if you go back in the day when the movies released, especially the first one, almost nobody was mad at it. It was only later on where it kind of developed and it became a thing.
I understand why he sold it. I don't blame Lucas for the problems we're having now. I blame toxic fans.
I will disagree. I was definitely a naysayer of episode 1 and episode 2 for how bad the acting was.
Oh, the dialogue was horrendous. Well,
Absolutely. He's never written good dialogue. You can go back to the original films, and it's not great dialogue, but everything else balanced is out.
I remember blatantly
the nose.
Anakin's yippee. over and over.
I
again.
mean, yeah, the kid, but
Yeah.
I was like, it's a kid actor. So.
I feel bad for Jake Lloyd.
But to be fair, it wasn't even just
Yeah,
him.
that
Natalie
actor,
Portman
I feel
sucked
bad for him.
balls. She was phoning it in. Like she didn't try. Like the acting was bad. I enjoyed episode 3, and I didn't think I was going to. So.
I didn't care how much of a wooden board of emotion Natalie Portman was as a kid. I had the biggest crush on her. I want to
That didn't
specify
work.
as a kid, not me now. That would have been weird.
See, my only problems with any of the prequels was Jar Jar. If they had taken Jar Jar Binks out, I think
Jar Jar
everyone would
was
have liked it a lot better.
The only way they could save Jar Jar is if he is a Sith. That is the only way.
Yes, that's the only way.
That's the only way.
I think that I've heard some rumblings that Disney's trying to make that canon.
They should do it. I mean, it'll
That's the
fix it.
thing.
If they're gonna screw everything else up, at least make that right.
Right?
I feel bad because I think a lot of Jar Jar was condemned because of Ahmed Best's voice choices, but I think that was kind of informed by the direction he was receiving on set. So it's a combination of both. I think the character could have been a lot less annoying, either directed less comical or with a less comical voice. Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'm just wondering when they're going to make Guido a Star Wars story.
It should be like a 10-minute short.
I'm sorry. Guido, is he a Rhodian from the Jersey Shore?
Wait, what?
But yeah.
What's this? Joshua saying in a canon, Jar Jar becomes a homeless clown.
I think so.
Ooh,
After
that's right. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Really?
His canon fate is he everybody hates him because he's the reason the Empire rose up, and he becomes homeless and a clown. Yep.
That's not bad, Zax.
Yep.
And I wouldn't mind it because I didn't really like how they expanded the Dathomiri witches in the TV series previously. I liked them kind of being a small, rare tribe that could use the Force, but they just didn't realize they could do it without mystical thing. It's not this whole other thing that seems to exist separately.
And I didn't like that they made the Darth Maul's people subservient to the witches.
And then they had to figure out how they were both Zabrak and Dathomiri at the same time, and it's a whole mess.
Yep.
Yeah.
At the same time and not separate species?
Yeah, it's like a colony of
right.
Zabrak that were abducted and basically kept enslaved there by the Dathomiri witches, basically just used as like breeding stock and warrior slaves and things like that. That's why you have Jedi who are Zabrak that don't have the dark skin, because they're from the Zabrak homeworld.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. All right. So I guess it's about that time to kind of wrap it up, unless anybody has anything more about this particular show to say. Or
I'm just looking forward to next week. I'm hoping to see some dead whales. Some whales get blown up.
Oh,
we got Moby Dick coming.
Who thinks that they're gonna ride in like
Raising.
they're gonna ride in on them like they're in Dune and defeat the Emperor?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
They're gonna play the what's that music from Ride of the Valkyrie, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So do I think that this is going to actually happen? Absolutely not. But if we're going to be throwing out crazy random theories, I bet you Balin's going to find the essence of the Emperor at this planet stored in some sort of facility, and he's going to release the Emperor's essence onto the world.
Gross.
That is gross.
Wouldn't be the first time that's happened in the Star Wars universe.
He's probably going to get possessed by the Emperor.
Probably.
That gave me a whole other thought, but it leads me down a rabbit trail that we do not need to go down. So I'll just keep my mouth shut. Let's move on.
All right. Yeah, we can save that for next week. All right. So let's go around the horn here. Let's do Josh first, since he was last to join. kind of do like it's like boarding an airplane. Go back.
Let's see. Saturday, I'm gonna go harass some jerks on the jerk roast for Flaccid's channel. So you should go tune in. I can't wait to get my hands on Abomination AJ. Little prick showing up an hour and a half late for his own damn show. Other than that, Sunday night, Max's Man Cave with MVP. Tuesday night, I will have my show Culture Popped, and then I'll be back here Thursday night to keep this lovely Ahsoka conversation going.
All right.
Ahsoka Tano.
Well, it's always great having you on, man. Lots of good insights and knowledge.
Yep.
So, yep.
Thanks.
It's always good to have you here. All right. Jacob, what do you got coming up?
Monday, I'm going to be on Cannoli's show talking about Spaceballs.
Woo!
And then Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about Young Frankenstein. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be on that show as well on Tuesday.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, it is. So we'll be talking about that one.
Both are good movies. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Jacob. Mando, what do you got?
So let's see. Tomorrow I've got my Sea of Thieves stream on my Twitch channel. Going to be starting at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, where I drink lots of rum, play pirates, and hope that I don't crash and burn the ship down while sailing it. And let's see, Saturday is going to be Literary Souls, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, going on the Witcher series, The Blood of Elves. So I'm excited. And also something after I get through the Witcher series on Literary Souls, I finally have all of the Wheel of Time books, and we'll be reading them and doing reviews on them. It's going to be a while because I have to get through the Witcher series first. But as of a couple of days ago, I got the final book of Wheel of Time in the mail, and I was so happy.
Nice.
And then let's see, Monday I will be doing some Dungeons and Dragons on my Kick stream, playing more pirates themed Dungeons and Dragons. Very, very weird. Pirates is kind of just a main theme in my life right now. And then probably some other streams are happening, and then Thursday I'll be back here.
All right. Well, remember to water down your grog.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Beard of Liberty. What do you got?
I don't really have anything scheduled since I don't have a show. I just show up on other people's show. As I say, I'm a YouTube leech. Everybody starts somewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
Next thing I know is going to happen is going to be not this Saturday, but next Saturday. I'm having to look at. Sorry, I'm not making. I kind of have to look at schedule. This is still new enough to me. I don't have things memorized. Next Saturday on the 30th, we'll be on After the Weekend Harder. That's the next stream. I don't have the details on that currently, but you can also follow me on Twitter /X or whatever the hell you want to call it at Beard of Liberty. You may not like all my content there, but it doesn't mean I hate you. So if you need to mute me a little bit every now and then, that's fine. But that's the best place to figure out where I'm going to be.
Okay. Are you going to be on next week's show for this?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, okay,
yes. I'm sorry. My brain just kind of assumed.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So if it sounds like we're all going to be here for next week too, so we can do this again.
His brain said Ahsoka delete.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or it actually said a few days ago when I was making scheduling, don't put this on next week. So I got to do that right now.
Yeah.
What would be really funny is that Ahsoka hitched a ride on the senile whale, and they wind up out in the middle of nowhere.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
And speaking of senile wells, I think it's so funny that Roman went this entire show not figuring out how to turn his mute button off. Like, poor guy.
I know. Talk about a boomer moment.
Oh.
I see him muted on my screen. Are you just messing with him?
Yeah, I'm messing because he's not here. He's not here, right?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's passed out on the floor, probably.
For anybody who came in late or in the middle who left already, we didn't say anything. He's got family. This is our last day, so He prioritized correctly.
Yeah,
he just left his avatar as a watchdog.
Yeah, he's here just in case this all went Hindenburg, but it didn't. Well, the stream's not over yet, but it will be soon.
No, credit to Shield. Everybody give Shield a shout out for handling everything.
Heck yeah, Shield.
Yeah, good job, man.
Shield and Mando, she was handling the slides too.
Yeah, thank you, Mando, for doing that. I really felt like I was back in the military. We had about 5 minutes to figure all this out, and everything went wrong. And it's par for the course, but we made it happen.
Y'all did great.
Oh, also, I want to thank the chat for being here. Without the chat's input, the show is just basically a bunch of people up here talking.
Right.
Yes. I get so much information from people, ideas, thoughts, what ifs, little callbacks to movies and stuff. So it's really the chat that makes the show. And also, I mean, let's be honest, they're the ones watching too. So we're just kind of not doing anything if they're not here. So thank you all for being here and watching. Also, please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Like this, subscribe, leave a comment. And if you do subscribe, I invite you to subscribe, hit the bell, and please watch a video. YouTube's doing this thing now where if you subscribe, if you don't actually watch somebody's content, at least like one of their videos or whatever, apparently it like takes it back.
It unsubscribes you because I was at 242 for like a couple weeks, and then it's now back at 241. So I'm like,
apparently that's a thing that's been happening. So if you I invite you to subscribe to Roman of the Empire's channel, and if you do that, please take the time, and you can watch the video or whatever it is, just find the shortest one and watch it on double speed if you want. Just get through it, and then if that's something that you want to do, or watch them all, just put them on repeat.
Listen, Shield's being very nice. He's being very, very politically correct and kind. So I'm gonna step in here for a second. If you're watching this, hit the fucking like button. Watch a freaking video, and if you don't, I'm gonna come kick you in the balls. And if you don't have balls, I'll come kick you in the front butt. Thank you. Jesus loves you. Amen. Have a good night.
All right.
Oh my God, so spicy.
But yeah, just to let everybody know that that's like a thing apparently that's going on. And thank you to Anti-Derivative Jill for letting us know that. Anyways, that's it. So I guess we're going to be out of here.
do you know how to end the stream?
I do know how to end the stream.
Later, y'all.
But have a good night, everybody. And
bye, chat.
Yep.
Bye, everyone.
We
Later.
appreciate it.
You can do it.